What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 12 SW Chapter 331 Unification. Call out. Redfield also flew out, and the trees and hills were all pierced. The powerful force, with the bonus of ultimate speed, makes the destructive power of this blow increase exponentially. When lying on the beach soaked by the sea, he slowly opened his eyes, felt his body, and laughed softly. What does this feel like? By the way, a kite with a broken string. What a powerful guy, it's just a collision between bodies. In this case, as his partner, it seems to be possible. Redfield was convinced, and during the short battle, he heard the voice coming from the opponent's body. To be precise, it was the words that originated from the souls. He heard a haughty, ambitious, but full of benevolent, kind heart. Such a king undoubtedly has a bright future. On the other side, Bullet, who was quietly floating on the sea, was also looking at the blue sky. Although his body suffered heavy damage, his heart was unprecedentedly calm. Such a powerful force, as expected of the king of the world. Sure enough, you've surpassed Roger, although this battle is not a desperate battle of life and death, but John Liu has shown enough strength to conquer his heart. On the other side, Valdo fell into the sea and was unconscious. On the boat next to it, the soldiers who followed were salvaging. John Liu had dissipated his momentum, and when he returned to the boat, all three seriously injured were put on the deck. Among them, Waldo has lost consciousness, while Bullet and Redfield are still awake, but they can't move. I won, then three. John Liu glanced at the three and grinned. But it's time to repay the kindness in the Battle of the Top. Hearing this, Bullet closed his eyes and responded first, I will join your command. But from now on, you will be my target, so, be careful, John Liu, I'm not that kind of person who likes to be quiet. Hearing these words, John Liu just smiled, then, he looked at Redfield. Advertisement, how about you? When Redfield heard the words, his eyes turned to him. Being your partner, this was decided before. I'll help you achieve what you want to achieve. After a pause, he said condensely again, after all, this is also the future I want to see. John Liu's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he laughed. Ha 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 ha. Genshin's laughter spread over the sea, which also meant that his subordinates had once again strengthened their strength and possessed three top world-class powerhouses. As time passed, John Liu's forces became more stable. As for the world government, it seems that there is no way to deal with them, and they will no longer send troops without authorization. Today's situation is different from the era of the great pirates. John Liu's Freedom Empire has become the biggest obstacle in front of the world government. They no longer send troops, and the two sides seem to have entered a developmental period of tacit understanding, and they no longer interfere with each other. A month later, King Neptune set off from the underwater dragon palace and came to Dressrosa to meet John Liu. The king of the Murlocs appeared very cautious and proposed the purpose of his trip. Want to join Dressrosa? John Liu raised his eyebrows and said unexpectedly. Yes, this will just perfect the island chain structure you mentioned, and it will also cut off all connections between New World and world government. Of course, the Fishmen Island also wants your shelter. Neptune said softly, his huge body bent down deliberately, showing great respect. I seem to remember that the Fishmen Island belongs to the Whitebeard Pirates. Did you come to me with Ace's consent? John Liu said with a smile. For today's Freedom, the special geographical location of the Fishmen Island is indeed very important to complete the unification of the New World. This is the suggestion from Captain Ace of the Whitebeard Pirates. He also mentioned to me his relationship with you. Neptune said in agreement. Yes, advertisement, speaking of which, I haven't seen him for a while. John Liu smiled. If that's the case, then, Neptune, you're the Fishmen Island, join Freedom from today. We will recruit troops on the Fishmen Island and send the elites of the Empire to protect the peace of the Fishmen Island. In addition, you know, in my empire, all races are equal, and there are strict laws to bind all races. There are many Murlocs who joined before, and now they are in high positions in various departments. Neptune nodded when he heard the words, and it was only after he found out that he decided to come to visit. In the huge empire of Freedom, there are all races in the world, but they get along very harmoniously. This is precisely because the empire has a very strict and equal national policy. This is mainly derived from the foundation of all nations. The site before Big itself has the existence of various races. Your joining is very timely, so that we can cut off marine, world government, and access to the New World. John Liu mused. Neptune then withdrew. The Fishmen Island joined Freedom to make its territory grow again, and the huge New World ocean was almost entirely under the control of John Liu. On the vast sea area, there are warships hanging the flag of Freedom everywhere, and merchant ships shuttle between the various islands, and economic and trade are becoming more and more prosperous. There are frequent exchanges between various ethnic groups and islands. In the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed since the Battle of the Top. The Whitebeard Pirates also merged with Freedom 2 months ago. Rumor has it that the Fire Fist Ace gathered key historical texts to Raftel and finally came up with the main location. When he came back, his face became serious, but there was also a touch of excitement. The next day, Fire Fist Ace communicated with John Liu and joined the Freedom Empire immediately. This incident caused a violent sensation 2 months ago, which shocked the world, because this means that John Liu has obtained the de facto New World rule. Freedom has also become a truly huge empire in today's world, with a vast territory radiating into the sea, with powerful strength and abundant resources. On the positive side, it is already qualified to compete with the world government. Immediately after, half a month later, the world government started a worldwide conscription to consolidate the combat power of the four seas. This made the atmosphere of the world tense. Everyone knows what the world government's actions are for. At the same time, leaflets were distributed around the world. It depicts the good life of the common people in freedom. Many newspapers are also publishing books and newspapers, imprinting the once ugliness of the world government, exposing the privileges of celestial dragons and the endgame of Ohara. And, to promote the idea of equality, fairness and democracy to the world. As a result, a public opinion and ideological battle that made the world's blood boil began. Chapter 332. Opening the Channel Dressrosa, the Highlands of Kings. The steaming coffee was quietly placed on the table. Freya adjusted her glasses and looked at the increasingly majestic officer in front of her. She was holding a strange flyer in her hand, which recorded the dark things that Marine, the world government had done over the years, and at the same time expounded some new ideas or propositions. What's the use of these thin booklets, printed and distributed to books all over the world? Is it also one of your next war plans? Looking up, Freya asked curiously. Modern warfare is a complex warfare system that integrates information, public opinion, economics, politics, culture and other factors. It's different from wars that have always relied on military strength and strength. Because, the main body of war has always been humans, not other strange creatures. And thought, consciousness and cognition are the keys to controlling a person, so manipulating or controlling these things can also play a role in war. Zhang Lu explained with a chuckle. Cognitive warfare, in a sense, it is even more dangerous than the direct contact of the troops. If the effect is good, it can even be defeated without a fight. And Fredom's centralized system, and its self-contained ideas, have a natural advantage over the world. Attacking another's shield with one's own spear is the true meaning of war. In some ways, Zhang Lu has waged war against the world government. It's just that this subtle and even unique war behavior is something that many people are unaware of. Seeing Freya's confused eyes, Zhang Lu shook his head and smiled again. Roger can set off the era of great sailing with one sentence when he is executed. These leaflets, books, and pamphlets can also awaken the fire in people's hearts and let the world step into a new era. Each of their volumes is a blazing spark that will sweep through the dark area above the sea with a prairie fire. Freya was stunned, as if she understood something. After Freya left, Zhang Lu glanced at the documents on the desktop and smiled. By laying a good foundation for the war, we can save a lot of effort. Time goes on. The era of the great pirates seems to have fallen silent, and the world has entered the era of sea kingdoms. Many powerful pirates who went out to sea gave up their dreams and moved to land instead. Some people carried the banner of democracy and freedom, rushed into the island, liberated the people, and subverted the system of kingdoms. The foundation of the world government has been destroyed, and the prosperity of the original 300 countries seems to be gradually declining, becoming more and more withered. Advertisement 6 months later, there was a huge turmoil in East Blue. The marine bases, the countries under the world government, were overthrown one by one, and some bases even rebelled and held high the flag of freedom. Trouble, big deal. In the new naval headquarters, Sengoku looked at the latest information with a solemn expression and sweat oozing from his forehead. The rebellion is everywhere, the momentum is huge, and the number of strong people is so large that it even surpassed the previous era of great sailing. Garp sighed. He was surprised by the world situation at the moment, and also surprised. Garp, Marine, probably won't be able to stand up to these guys going all over the place. Sengoku said solemnly. It's hard to imagine that this is all caused by Zhang Lu's leaflets and pamphlets. Garp clasped his hands, squinted his eyes slightly, and looked forward. I felt an unstoppable general trend. Is it the general trend? Sengoku muttered. But that guy from New World hasn't acted until now. His soldiers are extremely powerful, and his soldiers are even more elite. Once dispatched, that is the moment when this world will be overturned. Garp's brows also furrowed, and after a while, he suddenly laughed. How can I say that? The current Marshal Akainu must be overwhelmed. Faced with such a situation, no matter how strong the strength and the superior wisdom are, it has no meaning. Sengoku shook his head and said. He could feel that the foundation of the world was being shaken, and many people who looked submissive and gentle on weekdays had become the most ferocious beasts. At this moment, Sengoku truly felt that the world had gone completely crazy. And the current marine, world government, the situation is already quite bad. Can he really overthrow the world government? A doubt arose in Sengoku's mind. In 3 months, from the moment the East Blue Rebellion broke out, in just 3 months, the whole world was in complete chaos. Compared to the first half of the Grand Line, Marine's strength is relatively weak in the 4 seas. Even if they can get there quickly through the Calm Belt, they still can't compare to the revolution that is constantly being set off in the local area. Advertisement one by one strong men holding the banner of freedom appeared, setting off rebel movements everywhere, but in a short period of time, a large number of troops gathered. Then, 3 months later, Naval Headquarters found that it had lost its grip on the world. Boom. In the headquarters office, a heavy tap sounded on the table, and Akainu's face was ugly. Master Marshal, we have suffered heavy losses. The branch bases in the 4 seas have lost communication. Similarly, in the first half of the Grand Line, everything was in chaos, so I couldn't care less. This time the accident came too suddenly. The major in front of him cried out. They have never encountered such a desperate moment. The whole world seems to have changed suddenly, naval headquarters, more like it has become a lonely army. Damn it, it's all because of that guy Zhang Lu. Should get rid of him early, Akainu roared, but it's too late to say anything at this point. The situation is extremely unfavorable for naval headquarters. Their current influence can only radiate the sea area around the headquarters, and there is no way to go further. Just 3 days later, the shocking news came again. The army of the Freedom Empire has been dispatched and is heading for the Four Seas. This made naval headquarters even more nervous, but there was no way. They had already discovered that they were surrounded by rebels and could not go anywhere. Another month later, on the islands of the Four Seas in the south, and northwest, the flag of Freedom was raised above the kingdom, the turmoil subsided, and the Four Seas were unified. Zhang Lu unified the world. This world belongs to him completely. Sengoku sighed lightly with a complicated look on his face. He didn't expect everything to come so quickly and in such a hurry. At the same time, Dressrosa. The channel, has it been completely unsealed? Zhang Lu stared in front of him, glowing with colorful, all kinds of shimmering rays of light, the mysterious passage of crystal material, and said with some excitement. The world is almost unified, and this channel is completely opened. You can clearly feel that as long as you step into it, you can enter another brand new, unknown world. Chapter 333 The Farmer of Konoha, to the world of Hokage. Zhang Lu murmured, his eyes flashing with anticipation. What's behind this door? Can I come back after entering? A series of doubts also emerged from his mind. Will it be dangerous? Probably not. Back then, when I entered the world of pirates, it might have something to do with this door. So, try it? Zhang Lu was eager to try. The tasks of the pirate world have basically been completed, except for the waters near naval headquarters and celestial dragons on the red line. Now Freedom is even more powerful, and the people under the new regime have extremely high enthusiasm. Even, it has come to the point where he doesn't have to shoot. The 5 old people sitting on the top of the world, the 5 elders and the Lord I Am who hides behind the scenes and never shows up, just need to slowly nibble, and eventually they will end. But Zhang Lu also seemed very cautious. He first threw a gold coin into it, but there was no response. The gold coin seemed to be swallowed up and disappeared. The transmission channel of the system should not be in any danger. Zhang Lu said again, however, the preparation has to continue to be done. After calling Rob Lucci, Doflamingo and others to the front, he instructed a few things, and wrote some backup arrangements on the documents on the table. Finally, he handed over to Golden Lion Shiki. Your body is in its prime. What does this look of explaining your last words mean? Golden Lion Shiki asked suspiciously. Going to a mysterious world, a whole new world. There should be no surprises, but some preparations are needed. Zhang Lu thought for a while and replied, a whole new world? Shiki showed a puzzled expression and was also very interested. I have to explore the way first. As for other things, I will talk about it later. Zhang Lu smiled. Then the Freedom Empire, did you just leave it like this? Shiki asked again. Should be able to come back. Of course, if I don't come back for a long time, you can elect the next king internally. Advertisement. Zhang Lu smiled. This is a hassle. Golden Lion Shiki said thoughtfully. Zhang Lu alone can suppress the whole country, but with other people, it will be difficult. Most likely, it will cause internal disputes within the country. I'll hide it for you, but you have to go back quickly. Golden Lion raised his head and said seriously, it is good. Zhang Lu nodded. Then, Shiki turned around and left. Zhang Lu sat alone in the empty palace and opened the Uzumaki passage. Immediately, a 3-dimensional black Uzumaki appeared in front of him, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate slightly. Without any hesitation, Zhang Lu dived into it. The pitch-black Uzumaki was silent, swallowed Zhang Lu, and disappeared. Time seemed to stand still at this moment. Nothing could be seen with the naked eye, and only a few other things could be faintly felt. His physical body seemed to be torn apart and disintegrated into countless molecules and atoms, and then along the countless brilliance, twisted waves, fast forward. It seemed like a moment had passed, and it was like countless years, and the eyes suddenly lit up. Consciousness was also recovering quickly. Zhang Lu opened his eyes, looked forward, and after a slight stun, showed a blank expression. Where is this place? And who am I? He murmured and stretched out his hands. This is a pair of rough, calloused hands, which seemed to be thin and unnutritious due to too much farm work. He was wearing a loose robe and his hair was blonde. The breeze was blowing the blonde hair above his head, as if it was shining with golden light. Just then, a voice came from the side. Shui Lu, have you finished your work? Let's have something to eat together? The words with laughter made Zhang Lu's body tremble, the confusion in his eyes receded, and he also reacted. At the same time, the thoughts in my mind also became clear at this moment. My name is Namikaze Waterstream. Muttering, Zhang Lu took a deep breath. Identity, it is Namikaze Minato's younger brother. Advertisement. A series of memories that seemed to exist, quickly appeared in his mind, reminding him of everything and knowing who he was at the moment. It is the same as Rouge's younger brother who suddenly appeared in the world of pirates and became Rouge. This time, he also has a new identity. Konoha's 4th Hokage, the younger brother of Namikaze Minato. The difference between the two is about 4 years old. This year's Namikaze Shulyu is just 18 years old, but unlike his big brother, he is an ordinary guy without any ninja talents. Even, because of his ordinary talent, he rarely communicated with his big brother on weekdays, and when he met, he was a farmer around Konoha village. Clenching his fist, Zhang Lu took a small breath. Has the original power disappeared? Because of the rules of the world, the dimensions are different? Everything needs to be done all over again. Then he took another look. The system is still there, the Uzumaki channel is also normal, and you can return to the world of pirates. This made Zhang Lu relieved. As a newcomer, he suddenly lost his powerful strength and naturally felt empty in his heart. However, being able to return to the world of pirates is the last security guarantee. At the same time, the existence of system ability can also make him become stronger quickly. Well, the quality of this body is very good, much stronger than when I first entered pirates. It should be the last legacy left over after crossing. Zhang Lu said softly after feeling it. According to his guess, the Uzumaki channel should smash and reorganize all the substances on his body during the process of transferring him. Therefore, the abilities of the pirate world have all disappeared, and the only thing left is the body that he has, quality. And this should be the foundation of a person. Go right away. After saying hello to a friend from afar, Zhang Lu thought again. The current time is 50 years of Konoha. The third ninja war is over and Namikaze Minato, as Konoha's golden glitter, has just succeeded the fourth Hokage. Similarly, he has become the most prestigious ninja in Konoha's current era. Zhang Lu was thoughtful, his eyes flickered. Then, what I have to do next is to do everything in my power to become stronger in this world. At the very least, you must have the ability to protect yourself. The training of ninjas needs to start from an early age, and although he is a brother with Minato and has the same blonde hair, it is a pity that he was not qualified to enter the ninja school due to his talent. This also makes the two brothers, despite having the same parents, face different fates and paths. Today, Namikaze Minato is Konoha's fourth Hokage. And he is an unknown Konoha farmer who works in the fields. Chapter 334 Chakra 23-year-old Namikaze Minato, at the peak, dazzling and shining moment of his life, became the fourth Hokage of Konoha. The reputation resounded throughout the ninja world, and was feared by other hidden villages, known as the Golden Flash of Konoha. And Namikaze Waterflow with golden hair as well. At this moment it is a slender Konoha farmer with a hoe in his hand and a simple and honest smile. It has to be said that such a contrast of identity and background is extremely conspicuous, especially for Namikaze Waterflow. The pressure of 20 years has been buried in the heart. On weekdays, he doesn't even say a word about his big ninja brother. The sun was shining down, and at noon, the young people on the edge of the farmland were sweating on their foreheads, putting aside the farm tools and eating with bowls. Zhang Lu walked over naturally and took the water handed over by the person next to him. Thanks. Haha, hurry up and drink it, the water is flowing, it's all up to us to endure the food of the adults. The young man opposite sat on the ground and said with a grin. The people present were obviously familiar with it. Zhang Lu didn't say much, he took the bowl and drank it. At the same time, a line of system words flashed in his mind. Mediocre waste materials have no learning value. This is an evaluation of the young farmer in front of him, which means that there is no value in learning. After Zhang Lu drank the water, he looked into the distance again. This is a paddy field, they are planting rice at the moment, the breeze blows, and the seedlings in the field sway from side to side. I'm going to Konoha, he said suddenly. Huh? Is there anything I need to do? Waterflow? The young man next to him asked. I'm not going to just do farm work here. Zhang Lu shook his head. In this world of ninjas, confining oneself to an acre of fields is tantamount to courting death. Only by going out and gaining more power is the right way. Then, after eating, Zhang Lu dropped the farm tools and walked towards Konoha village under the suspicious eyes of everyone. Unlike the suburb where he lives, Konoha is still some distance away, just like the difference between a city and an outer suburb. The suburbs are quiet and remote, while Konoha is bustling and lively. Here, it's more of a ninja. Zhang Lu walked on the densely pedestrian streets without being obtrusive. Compared with villages in other countries, Konoha is actually very prosperous and lively, and the development of economy and daily necessities is quite complete. Here you can buy and eat almost everything you want. Advertisement, you can study, chakra extraction, study? The prompt sounded in his mind. Zhang Lu did not hesitate and chose to study directly. The chakra extraction technique can be amplified, transformed, or not. Yes. The amplification is completed, the evolution is completed, and the chakra refining technique is generated, which can quickly open up the potential of the body and release the huge chakra. After a while, there was a mutation in his body, as if countless cells were bursting, and new energy began to appear and fill. The talent of Namikaze Waterflow can't complete the extraction of chakra very well, but the system can. At the same time, with the rapid filling of chakra, a series of special and unexpected changes occurred in Zhang Lu's body. As this chakra? It's kind of interesting, the body seems to explode, giving birth to something new. The potential in the depths has been developed and opened up, and the steady stream of power is being released quickly. As Zhang Lu walked, he could clearly feel the changes in his body. Because of the strength of the body, the extraction of chakra seems to be completed spontaneously, and the speed is far faster than ordinary people. In just a few breaths, several years of time are saved. The energy is rapidly filling up, and the body is almost unable to support it. Zhang Lu narrowed his eyes, stretched out his right hand, and saw that the skin on his palm was cracking and oozing blood. He sank in his heart, knowing that this was a bad performance. It means that the energy that suddenly rushed out of the cells is too fast and huge, and it has already affected the body and began to destroy the body tissue. After a few breaths, Zhang Lu's body became heavy, and blood began to ooze from the corner of his mouth. He found a corner and sat down slowly. It's a big trouble. This body doesn't seem to be able to withstand it. This chakra refining technique can be killed or buried. It will release the amount of chakra that matches the body according to the current strength of the body. Although it saves countless training time, it is a great danger to a zero-based person like me. Zhang Lu's face was ugly. He ushered in, just entering the first crisis of the new world. As time passed by, the internal organs of the body seemed to be destroyed. Zhang Lu felt weaker and weaker, and even had some confusion. At this moment, a certain potential in the body seemed to be broken, a vast and majestic vitality poured out, and a strange feeling poured out of my heart. Zhang Lu suddenly opened his eyes and looked at his hands again. It's the ability to restore fruit. It didn't disappear, but it was derived into something like the bloodline limit of this world. Advertisement on the palm. The wounds on the body quickly healed spontaneously, the organs in the body were also repaired by the mysterious power, and the huge vitality surged out. Zhang Lu, once again, became that undead monster. At the same time, the huge chakra in the body also calmed down, hiding in every cell, waiting to be mobilized when needed. Call. It's amazing. I thought it was over. It seems that the things learned in the pirate world have not completely disappeared, but have been replaced by another form and hidden in my body. Zhang Lu let out a long breath, his eyes bright. After standing up slowly, he saw that there was a thick layer of dirt between the pores of his skin, and the strength of his body seemed to have increased a bit. Have the impurities of the body been expelled? The chakra refinement has also stopped. Zhang Lu frowned. The strength of this body is still far from enough, and compared with the pirate world, it is even more distant. I still need to practice. Similarly, the amount of chakra is far from reaching ultimate. To put it simply, Zhang Lu felt that the wooden barrel of his body could be bigger and hold more volume. It still takes time, he said softly. Looking at the people walking on the street, a smile appeared on the corner of Zhang Lu's mouth. Konoha is a good breeding ground and can give him the best growing environment. There are not only many ninjas here, but also many kinds of ninjutsu. Compared to the embarrassment and danger when I first arrived at Pirates. Here, it seems more peaceful. Zhang Lu sighed softly. Of course, the first thing to do is to find my big brother. With him, I should have the most chances. Since it's related, let's go for a walk. There are a lot of ninjas on the street. Walking all the way towards Hokage Rock, Zhang Lu has gained a lot. You have learned wind style, great breakthrough. You've learned fire style, great fireball technique. Learning the system always enables him to have the ability to survive in a dangerous situation as quickly as possible. Chapter 335. I am Minato's younger brother because there is no reference. Zhang Lu doesn't know what level of chakra he has at the moment. In this world, the level of ninja is usually divided into Genin, Chunin, Special Jonin, Shadow and other levels. Of course, the specific strength is not based on these superficial grades, which can only be used as a reference. Wind style great breakthrough is transformed, its power is increased, and the transformation is successful. It is Muji Ninjutsu, and the amount of chakra released is reduced. Fire style great fireball technique is derivation, the power is increased, and the derivation is successful. It is Muji Ninjutsu, and the amount of chakra released is reduced. The ninjutsu that Zhang Lu has acquired along the way is not high, and they are all basic. Most of the simple sea-level ninjas are only civilian ninjas, and some low-level ninjas no. If you want to learn the skills of the other party, you need to have physical contact. In terms of the vigilance of Konoha who had just experienced the war ninja at this time, it is not a simple matter to touch the opponent's body. Only these civilian ninjas, who are not very strong, will be succeeded by Zhang Lu. If there is a chance, Bai Yan, Sharingan, these bloodline boundaries, still have to get it. Zhang Lu's eyes flickered and he thought to himself. It's just a simple intimate encounter. There was a sudden pause in the walking steps. Zhang Lu slowly raised his head and looked at the Hokage building in front of him. Further back, there is the huge Hokage rock of Konoha. Here you can clearly see the huge sculpture behind it. The fourth one is the golden flash of Konoha. The front of the Hokage building wasn't crowded and the defense didn't seem too tight. Just kidding, the person who can serve as Hokage must be a man with outstanding strength, not to mention the famous golden glitter in the ninja world. Ah, Namikaze Minato, Zhang Lu muttered. He knew very well that the young ninja, who had just taken the position of Hokage, would soon lose his life. If there is no accident, he will sacrifice himself to seal the tailed beast in the body of the newborn son on the night of 9 tails. Then, the tragedy of Konoha came. Uzumaki Naruto, who was supposed to be the son of a hero, has since become the target of everyone in the village. A young man who is rich, sunny, kind, bright, dreams, and faith. He, little son. Leaving a chuckle, Zhang Lu stepped into the Hokage building. My big brother has warmed everyone, but only my family has been cold. In those few memories, there are only a handful of this technique that he has met with the other party. The friendship between the two brothers can be said to be not very deep. Of course, this may be the reason for the background templates placed by the system. In the Hokage building, it was not lively, and it seemed a little cold. Zhang Lu glanced around, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It seems that this big brother's job is not that easy. Advertisement, think about it too. Konoha's Hokage is not so easy to do. In this world based on family and blood, clan and noble family are the backbone and pillar of the real village. Namikaze Minato, Zhang Lu knew very well that his two brothers were just an ordinary family whose parents died early. No background, no strong bloodline. The only luck is that there is such a talented guy as Namikaze Minato. But this is just a special case among hundreds of millions of civilians. However, even with such luck, Namikaze Minato, who eventually ascended to the throne of Hokage, was just a puppet pushed to power. What he wants to do, there are too many shackles and constraints. From this empty Hokage building, a Madara can be seen. He, Danzo, the elders, the Uchiha clan, the Hyuga clan, the Sarutobi clan. The power of Konoha is complicated. Thinking in his heart, John Liu climbed the steps. Namikaze Minato may still not understand, but John Liu sees it very clearly. As the king of the world of pirates, he has more than just great strength. Ding dong ding ding. Stepping on the wooden steps, a soft voice came out, and no one seemed to stop him. Suddenly, John Liu's eyes flashed and his footsteps stopped. I don't know when, there is already another person behind him, and a light wind blows at this moment, tugging John Liu's blonde hair. This is not a place for civilians, you can rush in casually. A low, but somewhat immature voice came. John Liu's expression didn't change, and he didn't make any extra moves, he just said something lightly. I'm looking for Namikaze Minato. The person behind him was obviously stagnant, and then looked at the golden hair of the man in front of him with a hint of doubt in his eyes. What are you doing with Lord Hokage? John Liu wanted to turn around and look at the person behind, but was pressed by the other's hand on his shoulder. Don't move or I will take coercive measures. A cold voice came, and at the same time, the system's prompt sound also sounded. There are tons of skills you can learn, as follows. One-eyed Sharingan. Lightning-style Chidori, Rakery. Water-style Water Dragon Bomb Technique, Water Barrier, Water Shark Bomb Technique, Great Waterfall Technique, etc. Earth-style Earth Flow Wall, Cracked Through Teeth. Advertisement. Shadow Clone Technique, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique, 3-Body Technique, Body Flicker Technique. The sudden sound made John Liu startled, and he also made a judgment on the identity of the man standing behind him at the moment. At this time, the guy who owns a Sharingan only has white hair. Are you Kakashi? He said with a smile. I heard Minato Big Brother mention you. These two sentences made the ninja behind him slightly stunned and frowned. Who the hell are you? My name is Namikaze Waterstream. It's Minato's younger brother. John Liu Kaido. This surprised Kakashi, because he had never heard of his teacher having a younger brother for so many years. When the other party turned around, Kakashi was even more stunned. The momentum of the two can be said to be completely different. Minato-sensei is as warm as a little sun, even as Hokage. The guy in front of him, although he has golden hair and a face with similar eyebrows and eyes, has a slight sense of oppression in his aura. And this sense of oppression was also the reason why he appeared nervous. This teacher's younger brother looks a little unusual, not an ordinary person. We brothers don't see each other on weekdays, he is very busy. And I am farming outside the village, John Liu said. This made Kakashi even more stunned and surprised. The teacher's younger brother, not a ninja, but a farmer? But how could the farmer give him such a strong mental pressure? Take me to meet him, Kakashi, John Liu said again. Kakashi gave the other party a strange look and immediately said. Come with me, Waterflow uncle. At this time, Kakashi was only a teenager. Soon, John Liu saw Namikaze Minato who was sitting in the office at the moment, wearing a hat, frowning, and seemed to be in some trouble. Still young, with blonde hair that exudes sunshine warmth. Waterflow. Why are you here? Namikaze Minato raised his head, visibly stunned, and then said in astonishment. Chapter 336 Chunin Class Chakra Konoha Hokage's office. Namikaze Minato was indeed a little stunned at the moment, and even a little dazed when he saw John Liu. If it wasn't for the other party's visit in person, he would have almost forgotten that he had such a younger brother. This is not to say that Minato is cold-blooded and ruthless, but for a long time, he either studied at the ninja school, or practiced, or went to the battlefield. But his younger brother is a dutiful farmer, far away from the battlefield and troubles. The experiences between the two have long been different. Compared with the dangers he has faced and the things he has experienced, his younger brother undoubtedly has a safe and harmonious path. As long as there is no problem with Konoha, the waterflow will be fine. Long time no see big brother, I was worried, so I came to see you. John Liu said with a smile. When Kakashi saw the man's identity confirmed behind him, he stepped back in relief, and when he walked out of the office, he gently closed the door without disturbing the two of them. I was negligent. Namikaze Minato had a hint of apology in his eyes, and felt guilty at the moment. I'm too busy on weekdays and, with my current status, rashly contacting you will also bring you danger. He stood up and poured a cup of tea for John Liu. Afterwards, he took off the Hokage hat he was wearing and placed it on the table quietly. In front of his own brothers, there is no need to put Hokage's score, even if the identity of the other party is just an unknown farmer. I understand, so I didn't bother to disturb Minato big brother. John Liu smiled, sat on the chair that Minato had brought over, and held up the hot tea on the table. After a pause, he looked at Minato who slowly sat down apologetically in front of him and said again. Just recently, I heard that my sister-in-law is pregnant, so I wanted to come and see. Namikaze Minato felt even more guilty when he heard these words. The eldest brother is like a father. I have not fulfilled the responsibility of a brother, but I am still worried by you. John Liu shook his head. I had no talent since I was a child, so I couldn't practice chakra. I was dumped by your big brother. Also, eldest brother, you are already very good, and you have become Konoha's fourth Hokage. If your parents know about it, you will be very happy. Namikaze Minato sighed, a haze in his eyes. He didn't know how to explain to the younger brother that Konoha's Hokage was not so easy to be, and he was restricted in many ways. As a big brother, his younger brother is not a ninja, and he hopes that the other party can spend this life easily and safely. Instead of being like myself, I don't know when I will set foot on the battlefield again, and I don't know when I will die. Shui Lu, you came to me, there must be something wrong? He raised his head, stared at each other, and said softly. Advertisement. Well, I want to be a ninja. Zhang Lu nodded and said with a smile. Ninja? Minato frowned. Becoming a ninja is not unconditional, and the younger the better. At the age of his younger brother, it can be said that he has missed the best opportunity. I'm sorry, Shui Lu, I may not be able to help with this. Minato said apologetically. Zhang Lu didn't care, but smiled and said, are you worried that I'm wasting time? Actually, I have been practicing chakra silently all these years. Now, I have already gained a little bit, which is why I came to find you, big brother, today. After a pause, Zhang Lu's eyes were fixed on Namikaze Minato in front of him. Hearing such words, Minato's expression became stunned, but there was a hint of surprise deep in his eyes. If his younger brother also has a strong power, it will undoubtedly be very useful to him, in this huge village, although he has always had hopes, dreams, beliefs, and the will of fire. However, apart from the teacher and his friends, he still felt like he was alone. Really? You practiced chakra? Namikaze Minato stood up excitedly. He still remembered the disappointment and frustration in his eyes when the two brothers entered the ninja school together that year. There are two brothers, one is a genius, the other has no talent. This is undoubtedly a cruel blow to the younger brother. And this is also the reason why he has been embarrassed to see his brother all these years. Now, both of them have grown up, but the memories of childhood, the shadow will still exist. Zhang Lu nodded. Afterwards, Namikaze Minato came to Zhang Lu with a few steps and then put his hand on his abdomen to feel and verify it for himself. Being able to become a Hokage, Namikaze Minato is naturally amazing, and it is easy to detect things like chakra in other people's bodies. Namikaze Minato was pleasantly surprised when he touched Zhang Lu's body and penetrated chakra into his abdomen. Also, there's still a lot of chuk. It is comparable to the amount of chakra at the normal Chunin level. This is really a surprise. You must know that among Konoha, the regular ninjas are all Genin level, and Chunin can be counted as the backbone. Advertisement and Jonin, most of whom served as captains, were in charge of commanding operations and were at the top. In other words, with the amount of chakra that his younger brother is now, if he is trained, he can become a real combat power. It's okay to be a ninja school teacher and conduct small-scale operations. In just a moment, Minato made a decisive decision. Shui Lu, from today onwards, you will live with me. As long as I have time, I will teach you to practice some ninjutsu. The foundation of ninja is the amount of chakra, and then the ninjutsu, taijutsu, and combat experience of practice. With chakra, everything is fine. He didn't expect that in these years, his younger brother, after some adventure, actually owned chakra. Your chakra is comparable to that of a ninja. As long as you work hard, you will have a chance to become a special Jonin. Minato said happily to Zhang Lu. Chunin? Zhang Lu was slightly startled and nodded. The amount of chakra did not surprise him. His physical fitness at the moment is far worse than that of Pirate World. Moreover, he also intends to continue to exercise, and the time to become a Jonin and even cage level will not be too far away. Then please, big brother, Zhang Lu also did not reject the other party's kindness. Although, the moment Minato came into contact with him, the skills on the other party had basically been learned by himself. Ha ha ha, this is really something to celebrate. Shui Lu, you also have the qualifications to become a ninja. Namikaze Minato was a little excited. As Hokage, although he has the help of friends and teachers, how can he compare to the last family connected by blood? I'm very happy too, big brother. Zhang Lu smiled shyly. In the evening of that day, Minato got off work, and the two brothers walked towards the house together. This news, I have told Kushina, she will be very happy. Minato said happily, then please, big brother and sister-in-law. Zhang Lu smiled and said softly chapter 337 Brother is also a genius? Even the home of Konoha Hokage Namikaze Minato is actually plain and simple. After all, Minato, who came from a commoner, has financial resources that are incomparable to those of the rich and powerful family entrenched in Konoha, and Hokage, who is Konoha, does not actually have many privileges. In a simple courtyard, there is a big tree that Zhang Lu can't name. Because it is autumn, the leaves are yellow and dripping down. When the two entered the courtyard, the red-haired Uzumaki Kushina came out and greeted the two with a smile. Of course, her main target is Zhang Lu. Shui Lu, I've always wanted to see you, and today I finally have a chance. Kushina's personality is not as shy as Namikaze Minato's. With a slightly bulging belly, she came to hug Zhang Lu's neck. Sister-in-law, you are still pregnant. Zhang Lu was dumbfounded, frightened by the other party's bold move. Ha ha ha, I forgot if you didn't say it, come in quickly, the food has already been prepared for you. Kushina laughed, turned and walked into the house. The three of them quickly sat in the room. The table was filled with steaming food, not so rich, but very warm. Thanks to big brother and sister-in-law for the hospitality. Zhang Lu grinned. Then, I will trouble the Minato big brother to teach me the practice. Namikaze Minato smiled warmly, I'll do my best, stream. Of course, he would not be stingy with his own younger brother. The meal was over quickly, and the time entered the evening. The two brothers are sitting on the steps in front of the yard, while Kushina is washing dishes and pots. She has not been pregnant for a long time and does not affect her activities now. Moreover, because of the cultivation since childhood, the physical quality is also different from ordinary people. I'm so sorry for you all these years, Shui Lu, as a big brother, I'm really dereliction of duty. Namikaze Minato sighed and said suddenly, no, I had an easy time. But compared to me, big brother, you must have had a hard time. Zhang Lu shook his head and comforted Namikaze Minato in turn. Minato was stunned, his face complicated. Many people have seen the scenery on his surface, shining, known as the Golden Flash, becoming the fourth Hokage of Konoha, but no one has seen the sweat and hard work he experienced behind his back. Reaching out, Minato patted Zhang Lu's shoulder. Thank you, Waterflow. We are brothers, Zhang Lu said. Advertisement. Namikaze Minato was startled, then nodded his head. Yes, we are brothers. The temperature in the evening became a little cooler. The two brothers sat in the courtyard and watched the silver moonlight fall on the courtyard. They were silent and did not speak anymore. Get up early tomorrow, and I'll teach you personally. But for chakra's cultivation, there is no way but to rely on yourself. Namikaze Minato said. I see, Zhang Lu nodded. Afterwards, the two people who were sitting quietly went back to their rooms to rest. Kushina, who had been waiting in the house, saw Minato come back, and couldn't help but laugh and scold. You two brothers have similar personalities, they are so boring. What? Minato was stunned. Sitting all night, I just said a few words. Kushina laughed. Minato frowned, thought for a moment and then shook his head. We are still different, and the water may have his story. He clearly remembered that his younger brother was clearly unable to cultivate. At the moment, Zhang Lu was sitting cross-legged on the bed in his room. The harvest is huge. The master's skills on this cheap big brother are really surprising. Muttering, Zhang Lu's eyes changed accordingly. The eyes that were originally black and white suddenly turned blood red, followed by a hook jade emerging, and then 2, 3, rolling. Sharingan, and it is the Sharingan of Sangoku. People in the ninja world are flocking to him, and he wants to get the limit of blood, but for Zhang Lu, it is only a touch, and he has eyes that perfectly fit his body and have no load. Congratulations, you have learned the Flying Thunder God technique, the second Dan of Flying Thunder God, etc. Congratulations, you learned Rasengan. Learn to seal the ghouls, the seal of the 4 elephants, the 8-sign seal, the seal of the contract, the 4 red yang formation. Learn Sage mode, does not match the current strength, cannot be used. The sound in his head made Zhang Lu sigh in admiration. In this way, he almost instantly became the golden flash of another Konoha. The only difference between the two is the amount of chakra. He was even able to augment and evolve the skills he had learned. Flying Thunder God technique has been increased and derivatized successfully. Congratulations on your acquisition. Flying Thunder God technique, time and space ninjutsu, can be activated without imprint, and teleportation is instant. Such a skill alone is enough to make Zhang Lu invincible and possess powerful abilities. Advertisement. He slowly opened his eyes, and the place he was looking at, as well as the place in his memory and impression, seemed to be marked by the Flying Thunder God technique and could be reached at any time. In the blink of an eye, Zhang Lu's body has disappeared. The next moment, he appeared in the farmland in the daytime, looking at the empty space and the starry sky. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Where is Flying Thunder God? It's just teleportation. Taking a step forward, a complex array of spells appeared under his feet, his figure disappeared again, and he returned to his room. A rippling breeze wafted up, rolling up a little dust on the ground. All of this happened in an instant, and it was only completed when the robes fluttered. On the second day, when the morning sun was rising. In the yard, Namikaze Minato was already waiting there early, wearing a white Hokage robe with 4th Hokage written on the back, and blonde hair that gleamed golden in the sun. When seeing Zhang Lu, Namikaze Minato smiled and said, Shui Lu, you're up late. I practiced for a while yesterday, making big brother wait for a long time. Zhang Lu laughed. Then let's get started. Although you have chakra, becoming a ninja is not that simple. There is still a lot to learn. Namikaze Minato rode. It is good, Zhang Lu nodded. In fact, his master's skills at the moment are probably even more than Minato's. It's just that some of the ninjutsu releases experience, tricks, and needs to be learned. Similarly, when he fights and uses it in the future, he also needs an excuse. Not long after, Minato was shocked, stunned, and the unthinkable happened. What? You learned? Have you become a master so soon? Minato was shocked when he saw that Zhang Lu released the 3-body technique with ease, and even the smoothness was no less than that of many Jonins. What kind of cultivation talent is this? Learning talent. Then, he taught Zhang Lu the kunai throwing skills. When he missed 2 shots, Zhang Lu made no mistakes, and even played a series of tricks. How can that be? How can you master so quickly? Namikaze Minato felt incredible. Could it be that his younger brother's talent lies not in practicing chakra, but in learning various ninjutsu? It's hard to imagine that my young chapter 338 the fact that happened in front of him made Namikaze Minato feel shocked, horrified, excited and excited. The combination of various emotions made his expression at the moment seem a bit weird and funny. Then, he started trying to teach his monster brother other skills. Tread water. After just walking once, he saw that Zhang Lu completed it very smoothly and easily, and there was no difficulty in this kind of thing for the other party. Step on a tree. The body is 90 degrees perpendicular to the tree, the same, Zhang Lu completed. The control of chakra is also very skilled and experienced. Namikaze Minato opened his mouth wide and looked stunned. Is there any challenging practice? It doesn't seem to be difficult. Zhang said with a smile. Namikaze Minato was speechless. He looked at the younger brother in front of him, feeling that he was a monster. I have never seen a guy with such a strong learning ability. Even Konoha, those ninjas known as geniuses, would not have such a terrible learning ability as Zhang. When I come back, I will continue to practice with you. Finally, Minato left the yard with such a sentence. With a smile on his face, Zhang took his eyes back just now after seeing the cheap big brother leave. This body is far from reaching its limit. The quality of the pirates is also very different. Zhang said softly. He needs to continue to exercise this body, at least not too far from before. So, Zhang built a pair of weight-bearing equipment, hung it on his back, and began to frantically temper his body. He had experienced this kind of cultivation before. The training of naval headquarters is very cruel, and the training of the human body is even more unimaginable. It is to use all the strength to squeeze out the potential of the body. The training subjects are also very simple, running at full strength. The purpose is to make his physique into a superhuman level. The previous breathing technique, 8 inner gates, can also be used. I will climb to the top of the world again at the fastest speed and stand on the top. Zhang is very confident. He ran along the streets of Konoha, came to the suburbs, among the jungles, ran back and forth, sweated, and made his limbs soar to the limit. This simple but useful training can be directly reflected on the body and has the effect of tempering the body. The ability to recover allows him to maintain an extremely peak state at all times. Advertisement at noon, having lunch with Kushina, Zhang started again. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he saw a strange figure that was also running, but different from him. The man, with his hands on the ground, was walking with his hands. Yeah, I didn't expect that there are people like me who are full of blood in Konoha. My name is Might Guy, do you want to have a passionate fight with me? The man put his hands on his back, stood up straight, and grinned, revealing a mouthful of white fang. Guy? Zhang raised his eyebrows, then brushed past him and ran away into the distance. You're still too young, goodbye, I'm too tender? Guy blinked, but instead of getting angry, he got even more excited. I smell the same kind, he must be a man who is full of hope in life just like me. Afterwards, Guy turned around without hesitation, moved his hands towards Zhang and quickly chased after him, leaving a trail of dust. After a while, he was among the trees and saw Zhang running back. It's not that easy to get rid of me, Guy exclaimed. Really? Then try it, Zhang smiled. He didn't think that his body would lose to the opponent in terms of endurance. He pressed his feet hard, his speed suddenly increased, and he instantly distanced himself from Guy behind him. Interesting, this is also a duel between men. Guy widened his eyes and chased after him excitedly. Both of them were running with all their strength, but Guy was surprised that no matter how much he accelerated, he would be a distance away from each other, and he could only see the back of the man in front of him. So powerful. With such words coming out of his mouth, Guy cried out panting, but he never gave up. I will definitely catch up with you. The two ran along the streets of Konoha, forest paths, and riversides. Time passed, from afternoon to dusk in a blink of an eye. Their competition has never ended, and the speed has never slowed down. But Guy's chest was already like a bellows, the sweat on his body had already wet his robes, and he was panting. Too awesome. Who is this man? Advertisement. A man who can compete with him in physical strength, and even surpass him all the time, definitely has incredible strength. But the amazing thing is that he has never heard the other party's name. In the end, when he came to the river bank again, under the setting sun, Guy finally couldn't hold it any longer and fell to the ground with a thud. Whoosh whoosh. His breathing was loud, his whole body was almost exhausted, his limbs were sore, he could no longer move, and he had reached his limit. I lost. But I will never give up, Guy gritted his teeth and roared. Then, he looked at the back of the other party and quickly moved away until he disappeared. After a short rest, Guy sat up with difficulty, looking at the red sunset in front of him, full of doubts in his heart. Who is that man? From the beginning of the competition to the end, he was exhausted and fell to the ground, but the opponent kept running in front of him, unable to get any closer. This is the first time this kind of thing has happened in Konoha village. At this time, Zhang had already returned to the Minato yard. Did you go to practice? Look at your sweaty appearance. Seeing Zhang Minato said with a smile, go wash and get ready for dinner. Zhang nodded, his body was fine, but he was sweating a little. The ability to restore the fruit keeps his body in perfect condition and repairs damaged muscle cells. With this reciprocation, his physical fitness will grow exponentially stronger at an incredible speed. At the same time, under such exercise, the amount of chakra in the body is also rising simultaneously. Dinner was over soon, and Minato pulled Zhang again. Learn ninjutsu quickly. This only shows that your talent is very good, but it is not the factor that determines the outcome of the battle. Experience is also very important. Next, let's conduct practical exercises. Zhang nodded, and was also very interested in the way of fighting in this world. Then let's try it. Namikaze Minato's face became serious and serious. He really regarded his younger brother as a genius no less than himself at this moment. A monster with such a terrifying ability to learn will inevitably become a powerful ninja in time. My brother has such potential. Throwing the kunai in his hand to Zhang Namikaze Minato said, start. However, in the next second, Zhang Lu disappeared in front of him. A pitch-black kunai pierced the air, instantly appeared between the eyebrows, and stabbed at him. Namikaze Minato's pupils contracted. So fast, chapter 339 please teach me. The gust of wind swept, the wind was blowing, and the blonde hair on the top of the head also swayed wildly at this moment. Facing Zhang Lu's blow, Namikaze Minato looked a little surprised. The speed is unexpectedly fast, and the strength is surprisingly ruthless, fast and accurate. Boom. The tip quickly pierced his eyebrows, but at this moment, a burst of smoke came out, and the sound of wood falling to the ground sounded. Zhang Lu stopped, turned around and looked to the side. The opponent's figure had already appeared there, and he stretched out his right hand and threw kunai towards him. Three-body technique. With bright eyes, Zhang Lu showed a trace of interest in the world's fighting methods. Compared with the fighting style of the pirate world, most of the ninjas in the Hokage world have to work hard, not blindly, unless there is a thorough crushing in the level of strength. All kinds of ninjutsu, illusion, and combat ideas play a vital role here. Thoughts flashed through his mind. Zhang Lu stood there without moving, but let Kuma shoot through his eyebrows. The next second, after a bang, his figure also turned into a piece of wood. At the same time, the man had sprang out from behind Namikaze Minato, took a lunge, turned around, and stabbed him in the neck from behind. From extreme movement to extreme stillness, it was just an instant, and the tip of the kunai stopped firmly in front of Minato's neck. The action is very fast, and the use of body replacement technique is also very skilled. Shui Lu, you don't look like an inexperienced rookie at all. Namikaze Minato said with a smile, a curious twinkle in his eyes. This short battle, but can understand a lot of things. His younger brother must have his own secrets. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have such an old-fashioned, fast, and neat movement. Fighting is also a very simple matter. As long as the master has the skills, you can use these skills proficiently. Zhang Lu put away the kunai and said with a smile. Then, he turned around and looked up at the wall not far ahead. There, blonde Namikaze Minato, squatting there smiling. At the same time, Minato, who had just attacked, scattered with a bang and turned into a cloud. Isn't this three-body technique, its shadow clone? Zhang Lu asked with a smile. Good, you are indeed a genius, Waterflow. Not only can you learn quickly, master ninjutsu, but also use them in battle. Advertisement, if I didn't really know you, I really thought you were a ninja before. Namikaze Minato jumped off the wall and came to Zhang Lu, exclaiming in amazement. Maybe I was a strong man in my last life, but now I just awakened some instinctive memories from the past. Zhang Lu said with a shrug. I think that's how it should be. Namikaze Minato nodded approvingly. Of course, he is very happy that his brother has such talent. Proficient in master three-body technique, kunai's combat method, and possess amazing insight. The water flow is definitely not simple. He guessed that the other party has his own secrets, but he does not intend to delve into it. You already have the qualifications to become a ninja, water. Come and help me. Namikaze Minato sent his own invitation directly. Zhang Lu was slightly startled, then laughed. A ninja invitation from 4th Hokage, it's hard to say no, but he also knew that the things around Hokage at the moment were very difficult to do. The intricate relationship between the Konoha giants, the hidden danger of war that has not yet been pacified, everything is full of instability. However, Zhang Lu's strength has not yet reached its peak. At the very least, he is confident that he will meet the Uchiha Madara. With his current strength, he will definitely lie down. Becoming a ninja? That's an interesting thing. It's just that I still have a lot to learn. Zhang Lu laughed. I will teach you ninjutsu. With your talent, it shouldn't take long. Namikaze Minato said with a smile. Can I use the shadow clone technique just now? Zhang Lu suddenly said. Sure. Namikaze Minato hesitated for a moment, then quickly formed a seal, and with a bang, he stepped out of the smoke again. Zhang Lu raised his hands, the seal was formed quickly, and with a bang, he stood opposite Minato. This? Minato's eyes widened, not even knowing what to say at this moment. Advertisement. The shadow clone technique is a B-level ninjutsu, but it is not a simple technique that can be learned as soon as it is learned. But this younger brother learned after just watching it once, which is shocking. Looks like I can learn any ninjutsu, Zhang Lu laughed. So Minato, big brother, can you teach me your Flying Thunder God technique too? Namikaze Minato was startled. Flying Thunder God? After hesitating slightly, he shook his head. It's not the time. Time-space ninjutsu is difficult for most people. But even so, Minato still hesitated in his heart. His younger brother, the talent is really excellent and exaggerated. I have never seen a person who can fully perform the ninjutsu he has seen once. In his impression, it seems that only the Uchiha clan can do it. Just, does the water flow have a Sharingan? At least, he didn't see it just now, so, Shui Lu is a really super talented person. Namikaze Minato sighed inwardly, and this talent did not show until the opponent cultivated chakra. What impressed Minato even more was his perseverance. Since that failure, the water flow has not given up. Then, he turned to leave. Zhang Lu brought his own weight-bearing equipment and continued his practice. On this day, he met Guy again. The one-sided competition has begun again, and the result is no suspense. As time continued to pass, Zhang Lu gradually became familiar with this strange world, and his physical fitness was also rapidly improving. He can clearly feel that his strength, speed, endurance, and reflexes are increasing every day, getting stronger every day. The powerful body that the pirate world has cultivated is returning. The amount of chakra in the body is also rising, and as the weather gets colder day by day, Zhang Lu has an extra little brother by his side. Might Guy, the young man who shouted to compete with him every day and refused to admit defeat, was finally completely convinced by his pervert's monster-level physique. Not long ago, in a competition of pure physical skills, he completely fell down and followed him all day, which also made Zhang Lu a little helpless. Big brother Shui Lu, please teach me to practice, I also want to have a superhuman physique like you. The swift speed of a cheetah, the mighty power of a tiger, and the martial arts that break through the limits of the human body. Even beat me, the azure beast of Konoha, please teach me the physique called 6 forms. The temperature in winter was a bit cold, but Guy, who was kneeling in front of Zhang Lu, was boiling and hot all over his body. Chapter 340 Apprentice. A young man full of enthusiasm and perseverance, Zhang Lu can clearly feel the boiling meaning of struggle in his heart, even in this cold winter and 12th lunar month. It has been a few months since I came to this world, the season has entered winter, and the ground is covered with a thin layer of frost. Might Guy was wearing a green waistcoat and his watermelon head was pressed against the ground, looking very respectful and excited, waiting for his answer. 6 style. Zhang Lu frowned. As long as the body exceeds the limit and reaches a certain level, it can be issued in this one piece of taijutsu. After several months of training, his physique has improved, and he can use it naturally. Please, big brother Shui Lu, Guy shouted again. The emotions contained in the words deeply expressed the desire to become stronger. Guy, this is my unique, secret body technique. The preciousness of the 6 styles is not even inferior to the 8 inner gates. Zhang Lu shook his head and said, this. Guy was stunned and scratched his head, he was also distressed. Having tried it himself, he naturally knows the power of this physique, and if he cooperates with 8 inner gates, he can raise his strength to the limit. But it's okay to teach you. It's just that my body arts can only be taught to people of the same school. Zhang Lu said with a light sigh, I would like to join your genre. Guy said without hesitation, it is good. Zhang Lu nodded with a smile on his face. I will teach you how to make your physique stronger, and I will also teach you unique body techniques, the 6 forms. Guy raised his head excitedly. So, what's the name of our genre? Namikaze Flow. Guy, my name is Namikaze Suiryu. I'm a man from the Namikaze clan. Zhang Lu said with a light smile. The Namikaze family is an unknown commoner family, but any wealthy family is also transformed from the ordinary. Since there is no Namikaze clan, then create it yourself. Among Konoha, there are actually not many civilians with excellent talent. If you can bring these people together, and hone and teach them, it is a powerful force. Even, it will not be inferior to these giants that have been entrenched for a long time. The Namikaze clan. Advertisement Guy blinked. Well, the Namikaze clan of 4th Hokage. Zhang Lu nodded. Guy was completely stunned. The man in front of him was actually from the same family as Konoha's 4th Hokage. Brother Shui Lu, who are you? I'm Minato's younger brother. Zhang Lu said. In the past few months, he has learned about the intricate forces and chaotic relationships in Konoha. Especially, the situation of his cheap big brother. Alone and helpless, there is not even a reliable person beside him. Kakashi may have a teacher-student friendship with him, but Konoha's White Fang died, and now he is only a juvenile orphan, not mature enough. This may be the reason for his death on the Night of 9 Tails. Otherwise, Zhang Lu would not believe that Konoha with the Uchiha clan, Senju clan, Sarutobi clan, Sannin, Hyuga clan would not be able to stop a 9 Tails demon fox controlled by Sharingan. The water in this village is so deep that the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato falls without even a single bubble. 4th Hokage's younger brother? Kakashi-sensei's younger brother? Guy widened his eyes, then grinned. You must teach me, I will definitely defeat Kakashi, and I will never embarrass you. Zhang Lu also smiled. I like self-motivated boys. Guy, I agree with your character. Guy was even more excited. He knew very well that joining the Namikaze flow meant that he was a member of the Namikaze clan and his apprentice, and the intimacy between the two parties instantly increased. And the Namikaze water flow in front of him seems to be following the same style of taijutsu. In this world where everyone knows ninjutsu, and there are all kinds of geniuses in the blood, most of the martial arts genres are commented as the skills of masters only for mediocre people. Then, from today, you can train with me and make progress. When your physical quality meets my requirements, I will only teach the profound meaning of the 6 forms. Zhang Lu said again. Yes, master, Guy allowed Kaido. Let's get started. Let's run 100 laps around Konoha village first. Zhang Lu laughed. Clear. Guy fights high. Afterwards, the two began to practice together and subjected their bodies to extreme torture. Jumping with a load of frogs, sitting cross-legged under a waterfall, meditating, and sparring with physical skills. Before you know it, it's the end of the year. Advertisement. The amount of chakra in Zhang Lu's body has reached the standard of Jonin, which means that he has the strength of Jonin. Even with the ninjutsu practiced in one suit, he will not lose to cage level. Zhang Lu's combat experience is not less, and even surpasses too many people in this world. It's getting closer and closer to the peak of the past. With a smile on his face, Zhang Lu stood on top of a big tree and looked down at Guy who was sweating down below. This disciple, he is still very satisfied. Perseverance, self-motivation, and more importantly, the spirit of never giving up. Not being able to ninjutsu is not important, he has the confidence to make the other side's taijutsu world-class. At that time, it will not be inferior to those so-called shadows. At dusk, Zhang Lu took Guy back home. Namikaze Minato and Kushina had been waiting there for a while, and they looked surprised when they saw them. Waterflow, Guy. Lord Hokage. Guy bowed respectfully. Big brother, Guy is now my apprentice. Zhang Lu smiled and sat cross-legged across from Minato and greeted Guy again. Come and sit next to me. Apprentice? Minato seemed a little surprised. He was very clear about his younger brother's actions in recent days, and the other party never concealed it. Even, as many people throughout Konoha village know, a crazy monster has recently appeared and is abusing themselves. Its terrifying training volume far exceeds that of any ninja in the village. Even those guys who are good at physical arts are not as good. But accepting apprentices is still very unexpected and sudden. As Konoha's fourth Hokage, the patriarch of the Namikaze family, big brother, you should also have some helpers of your own. Zhang Lu said with a light smile. Namikaze Minato was startled at the words, staring at the younger brother in front of him. After a while, he smiled. Shui Lu, you really are not ordinary people. A few months ago, just after learning that the other party had a good talent, he wanted the other party to help him by his side. But after that, he hesitated again, and let the other party carry out that crazy practice. Likewise, Namikaze Minato can feel Zhang Lu's growing power. That kind of speed was terrifying and even shocked him. He can also feel that his younger brother has his own ideas. From tomorrow, I will help you big brother as a ninja. Zhang Lu said again. Some things must be done soon, and with Minato Hokage's identity, it will be easier. Because he knew that the Knight of Nine Tails might not be far away. His eyes narrowed slightly, and after glancing at Kushina's already obvious big belly, a seriousness flashed in Zhang Lu's eyes. Chapter 341 Shunin. Konoha 50 years. This is a year of many major turning points among Konoha. There are many new generations born and many sad disasters. On the Night of Nine Tails, Namikaze Minato, then fourth Hokage, and his wife Uzumaki Kushina died. At the same time, the Nine-Tails demon fox was sealed into the body of their son Uzumaki Naruto, becoming the Jinchuriki of Konoha's new generation. This year, Konoha 12 Xiaoqiang was born, and a new era began. Likewise, the Night of Nine Tails laid the foundation for the unrest of the Uchiha clan. It also led to a greater conflict between this family and Konoha. Zhang Lu felt that he had to do something. At this moment, in this huge world, his voice was undoubtedly weak. In terms of time, it is not far from the Night of Nine Tails. Shui Lu, have you finally decided to become a ninja? Namikaze Minato laughed. Yes, but I would like a certain degree of freedom. Zhang Lu nodded. Freedom? Minato frowned and stared at Zhang Lu. What do you want to do? Uzumaki Kushina. Guy knew that the two were talking about important things, so they stayed aside quietly. I might go out for a while soon, Zhang Lu said. Behind third Hokage, there is Shimura Danzo, then, I hope the person standing behind you, Minato, is me. I'll pick some talent and build a good team. Such words undoubtedly made Namikaze Minato's brows tighten even more. Obviously, neither Danzo nor the elders would agree to build a special team in this way. What they hoped more was that they, as Konoha's Hokage, represented the interests of the commoners and various giants to maintain the surface balance of the village. Instead of having an overly powerful force to decide the direction of some things. Being a Hokage can be powerful, but not beyond the control of some people. That's where Namikaze Minato is today. I'm sorry, Shui Lu, I'm afraid I can't promise you this. Minato shook his head and sighed. As Hokage, as little son, he doesn't want Konoha to be more turbulent because of himself or his relatives. Build a whole new squad, so what about Shimura Danzo? Yes? Zhang Lu was not surprised, he nodded and smiled. Then let me stay by your side. Advertisement, however, the war has just ended. There are some poor orphans in Konoha. I will take some in. Minato big brother shouldn't object, right? Namikaze Minato's eyes flashed, he became thoughtful, and after a while he nodded. Okay. It's just, the flow, our economic situation, you know. After speaking, he sighed. It is a pity that as Hokage, he is not so rich or even poor. Big brother don't need to worry about these things, I'll take care of them. Zhang Lu laughed. Money is not a big problem for him. Eat, water. Namikaze Minato rode. Zhang Lu nodded, then felt something, and shouted out the door. Come in, Kakashi. Namikaze Minato was stunned, and Guy turned his head sharply. In their perception, there is nothing outside at all. Instead, Kushina glanced at Zhang Lu curiously. After about 2 or 3 breaths, Kakashi came in wearing an Anbu mask. Teacher. Master. After bowing to Minato and Kushina first, Kakashi looked at Zhang Lu again. The man who made his heart palpitate when they met for the first time seems to be stronger and more terrifying now. He obviously has extremely restrained his breath, but he is still discovered. Waterflow uncle. Zhang Lu grinned and pointed to the side. Sit. You won't refuse to join our family, Kakashi. Kakashi's body trembled, and the eyes outside the mask flickered. No, my current identity is. But before his words were finished, Zhang Lu had already pulled him to his seat. Don't talk nonsense, now your status is only the junior of the Namikaze family. Kakashi's eyes changed, and he seemed a little awkward, but he finally chose silence and sat there quietly. Next to him was Guy. Seeing this familiar opponent, he seemed very excited, but because of the presence of adults such as Zhang Lu and Minato, he became cautious again. Today's guy, Kakashi, is about 13 or 14 years old in his teenage years. You're Minato's apprentice, and Guy is my apprentice. You two just get along more. Lu laughed. No problem, master. Advertisement. Guy shouted. Namikaze Minato and Kushina looked at each other with surprise and joy in their eyes. This younger brother seems to be very good at attracting people. Compared to the other party, he seemed very honest. The meal was quiet, but quite warm. Especially Kakashi, a warm current welled up in his heart. The death of his father, White Fang, and the death of his companion, Obito, caused all sorts of changes in his heart. Today, he is at a fork in the road of life, confused and in a trance. In the era of war and strife, many people in Konoha have long lost their parents, and they subconsciously choose to stay away from others and isolate themselves. But at the same time, there is more expectation for friendship and family warmth. Whether it's Guy or Kakashi, they are. When parents leave, they can rely on them, and all they can expect is the bond between friendships. This is something that all people in the ninja world experience in common. On the second day, Lu's ninja ID and costume were placed in front of him. Lord Hokage personally certified and issued a Chunin certificate for you. With his guarantee, you don't need to perform a series of complicated operations such as the Chunin exam. Kakashi, who was wearing a fox face mask, said aloud. Lu nodded. This saves me a lot of trouble. So, what about my job? Hesitation flashed in Kakashi's eyes before speaking. Hokage-sama arranged for you to go to the ninja school and serve as a teacher. Lu was stunned for a moment, then raised his head and asked, Teacher? Yes. You're in charge of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning classes, teaching students free body technique and training in ninja theory. Kakashi nodded. This really surprised me. Lu sighed. The first job after becoming Chunin was actually to be a teacher, not to go out on a mission as a member of the ninja team. Also, Hokage-sama also said it. When necessary, Waterflow Uncle, you need to serve as Hokage's staff, belonging to the administrative department, to answer his call and go to handle some administrative work. Time, it's Tuesday, Thursday, and weekends, Kakashi said again. Lu smiled helplessly. That's really busy work. Master Hokage trusts you, Waterflow Uncle. Kakashi said. Chapter 342 Contradictions. We're brothers, Kakashi. Lu raised his head and said with a smile. Afterwards, he took the Chunin costume handed over by the other party. A green waistcoat, Uzumaki-marked forehead protector, dark taupe off the shoulder vest, and a set of dark bodysuits. This outfit is naturally not very suitable in today's cold winter and 12th lunar month. Although the area where Konoha is located is warm and mild all year round, it is not so cold even in winter. You can take office today, Kakashi said, then, his body shook and disappeared. Although Kakashi is only Chunin today, his strength has begun to show his strength. His identity is Minato's personal Anbu ninja. Today is Tuesday. Lu sighed softly and looked up at the sky. The fluttering snowflakes fell, the snow piled up on the ground, and there was a touch of coldness in the air. Then go and see what the working environment at Minato is like. Putting on Konoha Chunin's clothes, Lu walked towards the Hokage office building. The administration department is the agency that assists Hokage in managing Konoha's government affairs, and this is where Lu belongs. It is also located in the Hokage building, but the two elders, Mitokado Homura and Utatane Kaharu, who are Hokage advisors on weekdays, rarely stay here. Therefore, the office also appears empty and very clean. Lu's report is very simple. With the big brother Namikaze Minato, his entry went very smoothly. His identity is an internship consultant. Function 1 is to give Hokage some of the right advice on the job. The second function is to act as a bridge with the country of fire, accepting the property allocated by the country to the village. After understanding, Lu shook his head with a light smile. There is no real power department, and he prefers to go to Anbu, the medical department, or the current security department. After entering Minato's office, the big brother was frowning and slowly flipping through the documents on the desk. What? Got trouble? Lu poured a cup of hot tea and pushed it in front of Minato. As Minato of 4th Hokage, there is no one around to help on weekdays. Kakashi is a junior, and he doesn't know anything about government affairs. He is more of a guard. His presence undoubtedly fills Hokage's side of staff, similar to Shizun's side of 5th generation Tsunade. Advertisement, it's a little troublesome. After the Third War, Konoha has a lot of things. Namikaze Minato raised his head, breathed a sigh of relief, and sighed. The conflict between the Uchiha clan and the Konoha clan has a tendency to deepen day by day. If it goes on like this, I'm afraid it will affect the stability of the village. Hearing this, Lu shook his head and smiled and said, is it possible that those rich and powerful families are crowding out the Uchiha family? Minato was startled when he heard the words, and then thought again. For a long time, the political correctness in the village is that the Uchiha family is arrogant and looks down on others, and as a result, the contradiction between this family and others is increasing day by day. Today, it seems to have deepened. Minato, maybe because of your faction and identity, you still don't understand. But when I stand outside everyone, I can see clearly. From a generation of Hokage, to your generation, 4th Hokage, it can be said that they are all people of the same faction. The Konoha village was founded by the Senju family and the Uchiha family. One mountain cannot tolerate two tigers. Under such circumstances, over time, problems will naturally arise. From Senju Hashirama, to his younger brother, to 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is closely connected with the Senju clan, to you again. You can say that they are all from the Senju faction and have a strong political support base. After a pause, Zhang Lu took the hot tea and took a breath. On the contrary, what about the Uchiha clan? The only thing the master has is the authority of the security department. Even, as time goes by, their functions are still shrinking. The long-term rule of the same faction will easily breed darkness, corruption, and even narrow-minded plunder and hegemony. Minato, I don't believe you don't know about the root department. Hearing this, Namikaze Minato showed a surprised expression on his face. Shui Lu, you have done a lot of preparations? You know so many things. If you want to start a job, you naturally need to understand the goals of your position and the environment you are in. Zhang Lu laughed. In his view, the entire Konoha village environment is a process of competing for power. The giants are fighting, and the ninjas are fighting too. Many tragedies are also produced in the struggle for power. So, in your opinion, what should I do to ease the conflict between Uchiha and the village? Minato asked curiously. Advertisement he found more and more that his younger brother brought too many surprises. It's actually really easy. Zhang Lu laughed. 1. Give them what they want, but this is not easy. The main resistance is from within the village, especially your faction. Minato nodded worriedly. For him, this is indeed possible. After all, he is a commoner and sits in the Hokage position. He also hopes that the village will be stable and united. But for the Senju family, their teacher's teacher, 3rd Hokage, is different. Today, the power of the Hokage faction has been achieved through generations of hard work and accumulation. How can it be tolerated to lose a single cent? Secondly, as Hokage, show affection to Uchiha. At this critical moment, as Hokage's big brother, you can't be considered ignorant. Otherwise, you are condoning the opposition and further persecuting the Uchiha family. Of course, this requires you to make up your mind and ignore the voice behind you. 3. With strong and decisive strength, coercion, suppress the entire Uchiha clan, and completely cut off the crooked thoughts of some of them. 4th, make a decisive decision, completely cut off the troubles in the future, and expel the Uchiha family. As long as this family is far away from Konoha, the village will naturally stabilize. Zhang Lu's method, the front was fine, but the back was stronger than the other, which made Minato frown. Suppressing Uchiha, expelling Uchiha, it's not advisable. Compared with external wars, internal wars between villages are more complicated, and one cannot easily make up their minds. Of course, what's even more regrettable is that, as Hokage, I currently don't have the strength to do this. Namikaze Minato sighed. As a civilian, he really couldn't do that. The retired 3rd Hokage wouldn't do it. Even his teacher would probably run away in panic when he heard such a thing. Not to mention, those wealthy families who don't wear the same pants as him. Zhang Lu shrugged, not surprised. Then, big brother, you probably only have one choice. Namikaze Minato nodded helplessly. Yes. Showing favor to the Uchiha family and maintaining stability is simple, but equally complicated. Because of necessity, there will be objections from some people. Let me handle this matter. As Hokage, if you go there yourself, you will be looked down upon. Zhang Lu said. Then please, Shui Lu, Minato said gratefully. Chapter 343 Visiting Uchiha. The conflict between the Uchiha clan is just beginning to emerge, but in the eyes of Namikaze Minato, who is Hokage, it is already a big deal. But some other special information made him pay more attention and seriousness. Looking at Minato, who lowered his head, his face became solemn and alert. Zhang Lu asked again, is there anything else? The border of Konoha, these days are not calm again. Cloud Shinobi is harassing again, but fortunately they were all discovered by our people, and after a short battle, they also retreated. Minato shook his head and said, in addition, the people in the village also found some suspicious guys. What's more remarkable is that these people had contact with certain people in the village. After a pause, Minato didn't say anything, but his face became extremely solemn. This may indicate something. He, who is honest, has also noticed a haze at this moment. Minato big brother, you are still a little weak in Konoha's foundation. Zhang Lu sighed. He knew who the suspicious guy in the words was, most likely the dead Uchiha Obito, a peerless man. And it is no doubt that Danzo is in contact with these people. Shui Lu, I can do Hokage as a dream come true. I'm lucky to have teachers, 3rd Hokage, who support me. Namikaze Minato said softly. He doesn't care about his own problems. Every Hokage will also encounter problems, solve these problems, maintain the stability of the village and develop. Yes. Zhang Lu also smiled and nodded, but I can't see such a scene. He is used to being strong and standing at the top. Afterwards, he sat silently on the side without speaking, and Minato began to take care of his own affairs. Kakashi hid in the surroundings and stayed silent. Teacher, if you become a family member, it seems. It's not that hard to accept, a gentle and reliable teacher, an amiable wife, and this mystery, but it made his heart palpitate, and he was a faintly strong man. This family seems to be very good, it's just that with one more guy, it makes people feel a little troubled. After preparing for a while, Zhang Lu decided to leave. There's still a lot of time, I'll go out. Namikaze Minato raised his head. Then please, pay attention to safety, the Uchiha family are not so easy to get along with. Take Kakashi with you. Advertisement. Zhang Lu smiled and shook his head, turned around and said, I'll just bring Guy. Minato smiled and nodded. In fact, He already knew very well in his heart that although his younger brother was now Chunin, his strength might not be inferior to that of Jonin. Perhaps, consider teaching him the Flying Thunder God technique. If it is him, there should be a good chance to learn and succeed. In this case, Konoha will have 2 golden legends, and his younger brother's strength can also be greatly improved. In the afternoon, John Liu followed Guy and came to the door of the Uchiha tribe. Please let me know and say that the Namikaze clan is here to visit. John Liu smiled. The Uchiha clan standing in front of the door were taken aback for a moment. The Namikaze clan? This made him think of Namikaze Minato, who is now Hokage for the first time, but the Namikaze surname seems to be the only one. Minato? You are? Namikaze Waterflow, I'm Minato's younger brother. John Liu was still smiling. After the identity was confirmed, the Uchiha immediately said, please wait a moment, I will ask the patriarch. After waiting for only a moment, Fugaku, who was the Uchiha patriarch at the time, greeted him in person. He saw John Liu's eyes with obvious doubts. Namikaze Waterflow? Uchiha Fugaku apparently never heard his name, but the other party's blonde hair and Minato's somewhat similar face can't be wrong. Patriarch Fugaku, I'm here on behalf of Hokage-sama. After a pause, John Liu got straight to the point. There are some things to talk to the Fugaku clan leader. Hearing what the other party said, Uchiha Fugaku naturally would not be rude and immediately stepped aside. Mr. Shui Liu, please come to the house and talk. At the same time, his eyes narrowed slightly. Hokage's younger brother came in person, which was no small matter. At the very least, he was instantly aware of the faint aura hidden around him. This means that someone has followed the other party all the way here. Humph. With a cold snort, Uchiha Fugaku turned around and followed. He didn't know the purpose of the Namikaze Waterflow, but these eyes around the Uchiha clan were undoubtedly without any kindness. When the door was tightly closed, this news quickly spread to the ears of the major giants and some forces. Among the Uchiha tribe, please sit down, advertisement. Uchiha Fugaku smiled. John Liu nodded, then sat cross-legged across from him, with a nervous-looking Guy behind him. As the Chunin of Konoha, Guy certainly knows the meaning of the Uchiha clan. This is the powerful and terrifying Uchiha clan in Konoha village for decades. The warm tea was poured into the teacup placed in front of the two of them, and the steam was exhaled. John Liu looked up and looked at the young man who poured the tea himself. He looked about 12 or 13 years old, but he looked mature. Children in the Hokage world are generally precocious, which is common sense. Even on the other side of Uchiha Fugaku, there was a 3 or 4-year-old child sitting cross-legged, looking very cute. This one must be Shisui, a famous genius among the nobles who performed well in the 3 battles. John Liu asked with a smile. Yes, he is Shisui. Uchiha Fugaku nodded. Shisui glanced at John Liu curiously, then quietly stood aside. I heard that the son of the Fugaku patriarch is also a rare genius. It seems that his name is Itachi? John Liu smiled again and looked at the child beside Fugaku. Hello Mr. Water, I'm Uchiha Itachi. I'm not a genius, I'm far from Shisui big brother. The milky voice made John Liu laugh. You are so sensible at this age, you deserve the name of a genius, Itachi. Then, he looked at Uchiha Fugaku again and said with admiration. Having a child is like Uchiha Itachi. Hearing the other party complimenting his son, Fugaku couldn't help but laugh. However, he didn't know anything about his future being stabbed by this dutiful son. I haven't asked you yet, why did you come to my clan, Shui Liu? Uchiha Fugaku asked with a chuckle. Also, the Namikaze clan, forgive my ignorance, I have never heard of it. As the patriarch of the Konoha family, Uchiha Fugaku is obviously a little reserved and arrogant. John Liu naturally saw it and laughed. Are you proud? Do you feel like you are superior? It's very simple, beat your arrogance today and that's it. It doesn't matter if you haven't heard of it. Soon, the entire ninja world will know about our family. As for coming here, after a pause, John Liu looked directly at each other. Naturally, it is because of some unpleasant things that have happened between the Uchiha clan and other clans recently. Uchiha Fugaku's pupils shrank slightly, and the smile on his face also froze. Chapter 344. Is it qualified? The conflict between the Uchiha clan and the Konoha clan, especially with the ruling class, has accumulated over time and has become more and more acute. From the early days of Konoha's establishment, from the battle between Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, this contradictory yet unified relationship began. But until his tenure, the external conflicts accumulated to the most prosperous, and the emotions towards the inner clansmen were also high. Some extremists believe that the Uchiha Madara family has sweated and shed blood during the establishment and development of Konoha, so they should gain more power. It's just the duty of a Konoha garrison, and it doesn't match the huge sacrifice they've made. From the First World War in the Ninja World to the just concluded Third World War, Uchiha's genius, how much the tribe lost, it is impossible to count. But Konoha is guarding them from top to bottom, preventing them from having greater power. They didn't even qualify for the nomination in the just concluded Hokage battle. This made the tribe even more angry. Are you coming to see me because of this? But perhaps, for the reason, Lord Hokage should find the reason from the leaves. Uchiha Fugaku's face quickly calmed down and said lightly. Patriarch Fugaku, I'm not going to turn around anymore. Today, the increasingly prominent conflicts between the Uchiha family and some people in Konoha cannot be ignored. The unsettling factors that are faintly revealed have also attracted the attention of some people. John Liu said with a light smile. Yes, Uchiha Fugaku smiled slightly. Many things in Konoha, the management side is very clear, from the selection and succession of Hokage, to the distribution of power among the various giants, to the selection of candidates for the battlefield, it is very complicated. At least, for now, Namikaze Minato, a civilian, is in charge of Hokage. After a pause, Zhang Lu spoke in an unabashed and direct manner. Although, this is just the result of various power contests and weighing. Such direct words made Uchiha Fugaku's eyes flash slightly, and he glanced at the man in front of him unexpectedly. He didn't know Zhang Lu well, and even before this meeting, he hadn't even heard of this person. The Namikaze clan? In the ninja world, there is no such family at all. If you want to become a giant in the ninja world, there are strict requirements. Either it has a strong bloodline boundary, or it has some kind of unique secret technique. Moreover, the power, number, and scope of the family should not be small. Become Hokage. Can you lift the plaque of the noble family? This is undoubtedly ridiculous in the eyes of Uchiha Fugaku. But the magnanimity of being the patriarch of a wealthy family prevented him from pointing it out directly. Advertisement in addition, the words of the man in front of him really caught his attention. At the very least, this is an honest man. He likes to communicate with honest people, not those old coins standing in the shadow of Konoha. The purpose of coming here is also to bring the friendliness of the Namikaze clan to the Fugaku clan. Of course, it also means Hokage. Zhang Lu looked directly at each other and smiled lightly. You should know very well how risky it is to release kindness to your Uchiha family at this critical time. Uchiha Fugaku nodded slightly. I am very grateful for Hokage-sama's kindness. Zhang Lu picked up the teacup and smiled lightly. My big brother, Namikaze Minato, is a very friendly, gentle, kind man who is always concerned about other people's thoughts and losses. Even being a Hokage is very careful, so there are not many helpers around. Even the people who once stood behind him were reluctant to take action. When the words came out, everyone present was stunned, and Uchiha Fugaku's eyes were even more condensed. Because he can also see that although Namikaze Minato is expensive as 4th Hokage, he is also the loneliest and most conservative Hokage. Even if he is powerful and has the title of Konoha's Golden Glitter, it is still very hard. 1st Hokage will not be said, behind the support of the family and a profound political foundation. 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen also has a family, and even Shimura Danzo and others behind it. What does Namikaze Minato have? People always say that the heights are too cold, and in this Konoha, Minato should be the coldest person. It's really sad. The warmest people live in the coldest environments. As the younger brother of Lord Hokage, you can see it even better than him, Mr. Waterflow. Uchiha Fugaku sighed softly. He is also very emotional. The situation of the Uchiha family is also alone. At this point, it is actually somewhat the same as Namikaze Minato. So, here I bring the kindness of Lord Hokage. Zhang Lu laughed. Of course, that's what Minato big brother means. But I don't think so. Uchiha Fugaku was curious and smiled. Oh. So, Mr. Waterflow, what do you think? At this moment, he was really interested in this Hokage's younger brother. The other party was wearing Chunon's clothes, but the wisdom and momentum expressed in the words were not something that ordinary people could have. Advertisement rather, it is more like the momentum that can only be cultivated by staying in a high position for a long time. This made him wonder where the younger brother of Lord Hokage came from. The Namikaze clan. Seems interesting too. With Minato's character, he is unwilling to harm the interests of some people, or even go against their will. But for me, I'm more concerned with the interests of the Namikaze family. After a pause, Zhang Lu smiled and looked at Uchiha Fugaku in front of him. Some people are optimistic about the Senju family, and some people think that the Hyuga family has the potential and courage of a wealthy family, but I appreciate the Uchiha family more. I came this time in the hope that a preliminary friendship could be established between the two clans. The voice came out, but Uchiha Fugaku's pupils contracted, staring at the man in front of him tightly, and even frowned. He naturally heard the meaning of the words. This is for building alliances. Hokage's younger brother, representing the goodwill of Konoha Hokage, also represents the Namikaze clan, who wants to ally with his Uchiha clan. Interesting, the Namikaze clan. Do you want to form an alliance with the Uchiha clan standing on the wire? Uchiha Fugaku laughed. He narrowed his eyes and thought. With Namikaze Minato's current Hokage status, if the Uchiha clan chooses to ally with him, support his political decisions and achieve mutual assistance. This is indeed able to bring a lot of benefits to the family, and it is also a feasible thing. With Namikaze Minato's current Hokage position, he is indeed qualified to form an alliance with our clan. However, will those guys agree? Uchiha Fugaku smiled lightly. No, I mean you may have misunderstood. Minato big brother will not participate in the alliance between you and me. Zhang Lu also laughed. But Uchiha Fugaku's face changed, and it turned gloomy. Are you kidding me? Mr. Shui Lu, it's just you? I'm afraid it's not enough. Zhang Lu was still laughing. He sat there motionless. I never joke. In the next second, the black and white pupils in his eyes suddenly changed. A pair of blood red, 3 Guyu rotating eyes emerged. These natural eyes are a qualification. Is it enough? On the opposite side, Uchiha Fugaku shuddered, his pupils contracted, and he appeared incredulous. Chapter 345. He predicted it in the blood-red eyes. 3 pitch black Guyu slowly revolved, exuding an awe-inspiring aura. These eyes are the Sharingan of their Uchiha clan. But how is this possible? How do you have these eyes? Uchiha Fugaku said in a deep voice. His expression became extremely solemn in an instant. How could the eyes of the Uchiha family appear in other people's bodies? Moreover, what is even more incredible is that the man in front of him seems to be different from that Kakashi. Outsiders transplanted Sharingan, Beian, a pupil with a unique bloodline, would have to pay a huge price. It doesn't mean that the eyes of this family can be perfectly used by transplanting Hitomi. The conflict between different bodies and blood vessels can easily cause the body to reject and even become a huge drag. The boy named Kakashi was an example. He only had an eyeball transplanted, but it was a huge burden. The transplanted Sharingan cannot be closed, and chakra is consumed all the time. This is undoubtedly a fatal flaw in a tense and fierce battle. The man in front of him, on the other hand, was able to control the opening of his eyes independently, and he just behaved like a normal person, and he couldn't see any features at all. It's just the use of a unique energy, which is expressed in the eyes from the outside of the blood. It's not a difficult question for me. Zhonglu smiled lightly. After his eyes changed, he regained his black and white eyes. Patriarch Fugaku, you may have to believe that I know the Sharingan, even the so-called Mangekyo Sharingan, better than you. Uchiha Fugaku's pupils contracted, his body shook violently, and he stared at the man in front of him. If it was just shocking just now, the words of the other party at this moment are simply shocking. Mangekyo Sharingan, this is the top secret of the Uchiha clan. Even some people in this family don't know. It's already 3 Guyu. I just don't know if his eyes have the same bloodline as the Uchiha family, not transplanted. His eyes narrowed slightly, and Uchiha Fugaku's complexion became cold. Mr. Shui Lu, if I didn't know your specific background, I might have thought we were the same family. But I'm even more curious about your eyes. When the words fell, he gave a low voice to Shisui beside him. Shisui, let's discuss with Mr. Shui Lu, and see what kind of power his eyes have, whether they're like ours. Uchiha Shisui was slightly taken aback when he heard the words, and then immediately said, yes. Advertisement then, he pulled out the short sword from his waist and looked at Zhang Lu who was still sitting there. Mr. Shui Lu, please enlighten me. Zhang Lu was not surprised, just smiled. He is very clear that if he wants to communicate with others in the alliance, he needs to show the strength to be recognized by others. Looks like I need to make Mr. Fugaku understand one thing. Standing up slowly, Zhang Lu had a faint smile on his face. That is, in this ninja world, some of the so-called powerful bloodline boundaries, their deep-level nature is not so difficult to understand. Like Sharingan, as long as you understand the power of the so-called Indra, you can awaken yourself and change your bloodline. After a pause, he looked at Uchiha Shisui. I saw the other's eyes, which had turned into blood-red Sharingan, and 3 Guyu were locking themselves. Just like the power of the Hyuga clan, as long as you penetrate the energy essence of the great Tungmu clan, you can also awaken in your body. Like the power of the Senju clan, as long as the power of Ashura is obtained, the same is true. These simple words made Uchiha Fugaku's heart tremble, and even his expression showed incredible. He didn't understand, but combined with the content recorded on the stone tablet in the ancestral hall of the Uchiha family, he vaguely understood something. To put it simply, he was already shocked. The younger brother of Namikaze Minato, Mr. Waterflow, may know the top secrets in the world, and in his eyes, it is already mysterious. The power of the Uchiha family comes from Indra, Senju family, from Ashura, and the Hyuga family came from a family named Dadamu? Are these words nonsense or true? Do you know the origin of chakra? Do you understand the true meaning of the power of this world? Patriarch Fugaku, you don't understand everything. Your knowledge and vision are like a frog at the bottom of a well. You're limited and can only see so far. That's why you were so surprised that Sharingan appeared in my eyes. Said, Zhang Lu smiled lightly, his eyes also changed to 3 Tomo Sharingan. But if one day, my eyes turn into the legendary Rinnegan, what would you think? Uchiha Fugaku widened his eyes. Rinnegan. Compared to Sharingan, Rinnegan is even more shocking. This is almost a legendary eye, only the Sage of 6 Paths has had it. Since you want to know, what qualifications do I have to come here alone and talk to you about forming an alliance? Then it will be an eye-opener, Fugaku. Reaching out, Zhang Lu reached out to Shisui. Bring it on. Advertisement Uchiha Shisui could feel the shock of the patriarch, and he could also sense the powerful aura on the other side, his eyes dignified. The next second, he moved suddenly. Shish. Almost in an instant, the blade had already cut towards Zhang Lu's neck. Instantly Shisui, this title is not for nothing, but what shocked him was that the knife was empty. The opponent's speed was faster than his, and a dark kunai was already aimed at his neck, glowing with a cold light. The speed is fast, as expected of an instant Shisui. Zhang Lu's voice came with a smile. A shadow appeared in Shisui's mind, and the other party was standing beside him, cold sweat seeping from his forehead. If this blow, the other party has the intention to kill, I am afraid that he will be dead. Fast, too fast, even faster than yourself, Mr. Waterflow. Gritting his teeth, Shisui let out a sound. Zhang Lu smiled slightly, glanced at Fugaku with a dignified expression, slowly took away his kunai, took a few steps back and moved away. Come on, Shisui, I'm very interested in you. Uchiha Shisui gritted his teeth, jumped suddenly, and began to move at high speed in the Uchiha courtyard. Yes, in high-speed movement, it can disrupt the enemy's line of sight, avoid being locked, and predict your attack. So, what do you want to attack next? Zhang Lu nodded and said with a smile. As soon as the words fell, Shisui's figure suddenly disappeared. There was a breeze on the left, and John Lu stood there, looking very calm. Uchiha Fugaku's eyes shrank, and he used Sharingan to watch the battle. The next moment, Uchiha Shisui appeared to John Lu's left and was about to attack. But at this moment, his figure flashed again, holding kunai in his hand, moved to the front and stabbed John Lu fiercely. But when he looked up, what he saw was John Lu's blood-red Guyu eyes and a faint smile on his face. He predicted it. Uchiha Shisui's heart sank. Chapter 346 Alliance. Sharingan, as a well-known blood follower in the ninja world, has a special and powerful ability. Even the Sharingan, who did not evolve into Mangekyo, has unique abilities beyond ordinary people and can play a supporting role as a penultimate in battle. Copying, insight, prejudgment, enhanced illusion, etc. are the abilities of these eyes. At this moment, John Lu deeply realized the uniqueness of Sharingan. People who move at high speed will become slower under these eyes. This is dynamic vision, which can also drive the body and make predictions about the enemy's next actions. At the same time, it can record and store its actions, which is a copy, just like copying, pasting it in one's mind. It can be said that just copying, insight, prejudgment and other abilities are already the natural enemy and nemesis of most taijutsu ninjas. From extreme movement to extreme stillness, Shisui's Kuwu suddenly stabbed out. This blow was obviously more severe than before. However, John Lu's body was like a leaf blown by the wind, fluttering strangely, and receding back silky. Shisui gritted his teeth and stepped forward, and kunai in his hand searched for an angle again and stabbed it fiercely. However, kunai's tip rubbed millimeters in front of John Lu, but he couldn't get close and couldn't touch him at all. This scene made Guy, who was watching the game, excited. Because he knows this trick, 6 style, paper arts. At the beginning, the master used this trick so that he would not be able to meet each other no matter what. After a series of dancing attacks, Shisui's forehead oozes sweat. Finally, he suddenly pulled away and jumped back. But at this moment, out of the corner of his eyes, he suddenly saw John Lu's feet and toes in front of him, quickly tapping the ground. Boom! Ripples spread out from the ground, and John Lu's figure suddenly disappeared. Shave. Guy recognized it again. Almost instantly, John Lu's figure appeared behind Shisui. Its right foot was raised to the top of its head, as if a huge chopper was swung up. Shisui. Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help but let out a low voice, reminding the other party. Shisui's pupils contracted, and the seal quickly formed, and his figure became blurred. At this moment, John Lu's right foot slammed down. Buzz. A fierce slash whizzed past, wiping the ground out of the gap, and heading towards the courtyard pond not far away. Boom. The calm surface of the pond was cut in half. Advertisement. This blow made Uchiha Fugaku's pupils shrink, and Shisui broke out in a cold sweat. He turned his head quickly, and what he saw made his mouth slightly open. I saw John Lu standing strangely about 1 meter from the ground at this moment. Its Tempest Kick, Moonwalk, Guy was even more excited. It was this powerful physical technique that made him very eager to get it. Teacher Shui Lu also said that this set of body techniques does not require chakra at all. As long as the physical fitness reaches superhuman level, it can be practiced. The stronger the physical quality, the more terrifying the explosive power. In addition, there is an amazingly penetrating trick called Finger Pistol, which he has never seen before. It's pure physique, Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly in his heart. But it was difficult for him to comprehend such a fierce, bizarre, and wondrous attack with his body technique. With his knowledge, he naturally knew that in these simple tricks, there are body techniques, leg techniques, and unique walking in the air. Bang 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 bang. Stepping on the void, John Lu returned to the original place again and slowly sat cross-legged. I wonder if Patriarch Fugaku is satisfied with my performance just now? Said with a faint smile, John Lu looked at Uchiha Fugaku in front of him. Although Shisui is still Chunin at the moment, he has an ability not inferior to Jonin. Mr. Shui Lu, with pure physical skills, and, after a pause, Fugaku looked at each other's blood-red eyes. Sharingan, suppressing and even killing Shisui easily is enough to prove that you have great power. Speaking of which, Uchiha Fugaku also sighed in admiration. Although the Namikaze clan is small in number, all of them are geniuses. Let's not talk about your big brother Minato. Mr. Shui Lu is unknown, but he has such power, which is really admirable. John Lu didn't care when he heard the words of approval, but said lightly. It's just a competition. Shisui, he didn't use his ninjutsu and his hidden strength, didn't he? After speaking, he looked at Shisui who was standing beside him. The latter was stunned for a moment, with some surprise in his eyes. After thinking for a while, he nodded. He really didn't use all his strength, and he didn't think it was necessary. Uchiha Fugaku smiled slightly, and then his body leaned forward, and there was a seriousness and sternness on his face. He asked in a deep voice. One more question, Mr. Waterflow. Advertisement. John Lu nodded and motioned for the other party to speak. Is the Sharingan in your eyes really not a transplant? The voice was low and cold, with a hint of threat and coldness. As a famous big family in the ninja world, Sharingan is never allowed to be left behind. John Lu's expression remained unchanged, and he nodded lightly. Of course not. I believe Patriarch Fugaku is also very clear that the transplanted Sharingan has various drawbacks. For the top powerhouses, it will even become a burden and affect their own strength. After a pause, he smiled lightly. I just used a special method to grow such a pair of eyes in my body. Uchiha Fugaku was silent, and after a long while he raised his head to stare at the other side and sighed softly. Yes. This is not good news for the Uchiha family, Mr. Waterflow. Zhang smiled slightly. Patriarch Fugaku, please rest assured, I am afraid that only I can use this method. My physique is a bit special. In addition, I will keep the secret of these eyes, and please don't spread it out to Mr. Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku breathed a sigh of relief. Then I can rest assured, I will naturally keep it a secret for you. If the method of giving birth to Sharingan can be widely used, it will undoubtedly be a disaster for the Uchiha family. Then, is Mr. Fugaku willing to form an alliance with the Namikaze clan? Zhang Lu laughed again. Faced with this question again, this time Uchiha Fugaku just hesitated for a moment, then stretched out his right hand. Mr. Shui Lu, compared to your big brother, he has more courage and means. Equally, more mysterious. Zhang Lu smiled, stretched out his right hand, and held it together. Then, I hope you and I can cooperate happily. Fugaku also had a smile on his face and nodded. The Namikaze family is the only family in Konoha who is willing to form an alliance with my Uchiha family. Also, I intend to accept Shisui as a disciple. Does the Fugaku clan have any opinions? Zhang Lu said again. Shisui? Fugaku was stunned for a moment, then looked at Shisui who was standing next to him, who was obviously a little stunned. Are you willing to worship Mr. Shui Lu as your teacher, Shisui? Shisui didn't hesitate, just nodded. I do. That hand moved faster than him in an instant, making him extremely curious and puzzled. Chapter 347 Yakushi Kabuto. After the initial determination of the alliance intention, the atmosphere has obviously become more harmonious than at the beginning. Next, the two discussed the situation in Konoha. Mr. Shui Lu, should you want to help your big brother? Uchiha Fugaku said with a smile. His ability to sit in this position is the result of many compromises, and Minato has no plans to change anything. Zhang Lu smiled lightly. Fugaku's eyes flashed slightly, and he had a little understanding in his heart. Compared with Namikaze Minato's passionate dream idea, the Namikaze waterflow in front of him obviously pays more attention to reality. In short, the other party is an ambitious person. But that's good news for the Uchiha family, who are equally ambitious. Gaining greater power and living space is what ambitious people want to do. Excuse me, but the Namikaze clan is still too small. Uchiha Fugaku sighed and shook his head. I will have a way to solve this problem. The Namikaze family, unlike the giants of Konoha, we don't need blood to maintain the clan. Zhang Lu said with a smile. Moreover, Konoha is not a sparsely populated ethnic group, such as the Yamanaka family, the Akamichi family, etc., are almost a single lineage. With Namikaze Minato's current status and Zhang Lu's strength and means, it is actually very simple to build a family. Yes, Uchiha Fugaku was thoughtful and nodded understandingly. To be precise, the Uchiha family really has Sharingan, and there are not many people with authentic blood, and more are dependent civilians or others. Coupled with several generations of intermarriage, the blood within the clan is also very thin, which leads to the fact that only a few can open their eyes. After chatting for a while, Zhang Lu got up to leave. Then, I would like to thank the Fugaku Patriarch for the hospitality today, and I will have the opportunity to talk about it in the future. Uchiha Fugaku personally said goodbye and said that in the future, there should be more communication between the two tribes. On the way back, Guy followed behind Zhang Lu, looking hesitant to speak. If you have any questions, just ask, Guy, Zhang Lu said with a smile. Master, do you really own Sharingan? Guy asked excitedly. Yes, as I said just now, these eyes are not exclusive to the Uchiha clan. At least, here is what it is, Zhang Lu nodded. Then me? Guy hesitated. Advertisement, you cannot. Zhang Lu naturally understood what the other party meant. No one in the world could stand the attraction of a powerful blood successor like Sharingan. Oh. Guy lowered his head in disappointment. However, if the practice of taijutsu is strong enough, the final burst of power will not be inferior to all ninjutsu. Zhang Lu said with a smile again. I knew it, Teacher Shuliu, you must teach me to learn the 6 forms. Guy said excitedly. Don't worry, as long as your physique and quality are stronger, I will teach you the 6 styles. Zhang Lu smiled. Guy nods his head heavily, fighting spirit high. Go back in a while, and run 50 laps around Konoha village again. Zhang Lu said. Yes. Guy shouted. Zhang Lu nodded gratified. Who wouldn't like such a self-motivated and hardworking student? Back in the Minato yard, he frowned again. Compared to the Uchiha family, the courtyard here is really simple. Fugaku is not wrong. Compared to those giants in Konoha, the background of the Namikaze family is really much worse. Money? Zhang Lu thought about it. Making money is not difficult for him. On the second day, Zhang Lu was going to report to the ninja school. After bringing the books and props for class, he took office easily. The teaching of the ninja school is still very simple, just simple training for some ninja subjects, such as the 3-body technique, the practice of chakra, and the kunai throwing. In the first class, Zhang Lu met an unexpected little guy. Uchiha Itachi, who was 3 or 4 years old, sat upright, sitting there earnestly, watching him with awe and admiration. Yesterday's discussion, he saw it very clearly, but he didn't expect the other party to be his new substitute teacher. Itachi was very excited. He wanted to tell the classmates aloud that Mr. Shui Lu was very powerful, but the pride of Uchiha's genius made him restrained. I want to keep this secret. Well, this is teacher Shui Lu's secret. Itachi said to himself. Standing on the podium, John Lu glanced at the group of little puddings below. They are all young children, even on the earth, these guys are probably going to kindergarten, but here, it has been cultivated as a murder weapon. Advertisement, what a horrible place. A group of little puddings sat there, but they seemed very quiet and serious. How many orphans are there in the 5 countries that are constantly at war? He thought with a sigh. This must be an astronomical number, difficult to calculate. The 3 children that Jiraiya taught are just a microcosm. The chaotic war and cruel environment have also led to the hatred in the hearts of human beings and all kinds of more terrible things happening in this world. If many people have not experienced the shadow of childhood, will they do crazy things when they grow up? Looking at these children, John Lu couldn't help thinking about Chunin at this moment. How many of the children sitting below have lost loved ones? He originally had a plan, but now he is more certain. Hello everyone, I'm your new substitute teacher, responsible for your teaching work before graduation. If you have any doubts, students can come and ask me. John Lu said with a smile. His teacher. The immature voice sounded, and the little puddings were very enthusiastic. John Lu smiled, picked up the textbook and started teaching. It's all scripted things, and then adding their own understanding. The students are also very self-conscious, and the atmosphere in the classroom is harmonious. To John Lu's surprise, his first class was pretty good. After school was over, John Lu hesitated for a while, then walked towards the orphanage. There is an orphanage in Konoha, and according to the news from Kakashi, the director at this time is Yakushi no, who used to be known as the walking priestess in the intelligence department. At the same time, in the Konoha orphanage, Yi Nayu, you are a talented person with rich espionage experience. And now the situation we Konoha is facing, you should also be very clear that the movement of Rock Shinobi village is related to Konoha's safety. It's up to you to do this, it's the most appropriate. If you agree, these children can rest assured that they will be better taken care of. A low voice rang out, and Kabuto, who was wearing glasses and hiding outside the wall, swallowed. In the room separated by a wall, there are 3 guys who are terrifying to him, and the woman who gave him warmth in her heart, like a mother, changed her face and seemed very nervous and worried. Lord Danzo, Lord Orochimaru, are you here this time for this? Yi Nayu's gentle but angry voice came out. At this moment, there were chaotic voices from outside the house. Danzo, Orochimaru, and Nanoyu turned to look outside. There's a little mouse, Orochimaru licked his lips and said with interest. Outside, Kabuto turned to look at the door of the orphanage, and the strange man strode in, widened his eyes. The other party had bright golden hair, just like Lord Hokage he had seen from a distance. Chapter 348 Orochimaru and Danzo. The Konoha orphanage is not big. In the small yard, all kinds of flowers and plants are planted. Even though the climate is cold today, it still exudes a vigorous and stubborn vitality. John Lu walked in along the clearing out, and at a glance, he saw the little boy in glasses who was clinging to the wall and looking inside. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he stepped inside. The undisguised footsteps alarmed the little boy and made him accidentally step down, hitting the shelf next to him and making a slight noise. It was also at this moment that the boy turned his head to look at him, his mouth slightly opened, revealing a shocked look. Fire, Lord Hokage! Yakushi Kabuto exclaimed in surprise. John Lu raised his eyebrows slightly, smiled, bent down and reached out to touch the other's small head. At this time, several people in the house also looked at each other, showing a look of vigilance. Hokage? A childish voice from outside caught their attention. Yi Nayu breathed a sigh of relief and turned to look outside. The next second, she saw Danzo, Orochimaru, and the ninja of the Aburame clan walking towards the door. Obviously, the purpose of Lord Hokage in Kabuto's mouth had to be temporarily interrupted. But the strange thing is, why did Lord Hokage come here? When they just opened the door and saw the 2 people outside the room, they were all slightly startled, and at the same time, a gentle, laughter word came over. I'm not Hokage, kid. John Lu touched Kabuto's head, then raised his head to look at the 3 figures standing not far in front of him at this time. Orochimaru, one of the famous Sannin, together with Shimura Danzo, the staff behind 3rd Hokage, and the powerhouse of the Aburame clan, are actually united. Intimidating and seducing a kind woman here, it's really going downhill. He shook his head and sighed. Then, he pulled Yakushi Kabuto behind him. Next, things may become a little more intense, stand behind me and protect yourself. Kid. These gentle words brought a warmth to Kabuto's heart that he had never experienced before. If Yakushi Nanoyu gave his mother the feeling, the man in front of him was like a big brother, like a father. Kabuto nodded heavily, standing behind John Lu. He somehow felt that the 3 people in front of him were very terrifying and gloomy. Who is your excellency? Advertisement with interest in Orochimaru's eyes, he stared at John Lu. Shimura Danzo's eyes were cold and locked on the other side. Namikaze water, I'm here to find Director Nanoyu. After a pause, John Lu looked at the 3 of them and smiled lightly. It's just that I didn't expect to see 3 of them. When Danzo heard the name, his eyes narrowed slightly, and then he sneered. So it's you. Of course, he had heard the name Namikaze Waterflow recently. Minato's younger brother. Orochimaru smiled, tongue licking his lips, more interested. What are you doing here? Danzo asked again. At the request of Lord Hokage, I came to prepare some cotton-padded clothes for the children in the orphanage for the winter. John Lu smiled, took out a seal scroll, and gently threw it to Yi Nayu. The latter froze for a moment and then took it, showing grateful eyes. The Konoha orphanage has always been a welfare institution, and it is also a place that is not taken seriously. She didn't expect the Lord Hokage would pay attention here. Zhang nodded and smiled. The cotton coats and quilts in the seal scroll are all real, and Minato's financial resources are naturally not available, but for the Uchiha family, it is just a little drizzle. Then, he looked at the three in front of him again. It's just that I didn't expect to see such a scene as soon as I came here. It's really fun. Orochimaru also had a wicked smile on his face. While observing each other, the ninjas of the Aburame clan were expressionless and did not make any sound. Danzo snorted coldly. What we do is related to the safety of the village. It's not something you can talk about with your nepotism and infiltrate the government system. Even if you are the staff of the third generation, the leader of the roots. If you slander me for no reason, I will sue you for slander. Mr. Danzo. Zhang Lu was still smiling, but in his smile, there was already a bit of cold-killing intent. Orochimaru. Danzo snorted suddenly. The matter we talked about is related to the top secret of the village. Even if he is Hokage's younger brother, I am afraid that he cannot easily leave today. Advertisement. Orochimaru still had a faint smile on his face. That's right, this kind of thing is really not suitable for rumors. However, if your excellency Shui Lu is willing to join us to complete this task, it will show his value. It's not impossible. I don't think Hokage-sama would have much opinion if he knew about it. After all, this is for Konoha. Danzo heard the words, his eyes narrowed slightly, and then he smiled. That's right. Orochimaru, you really are of the same type as me. Then, he looked at Zhang Lu with cold eyes. Did you choose to take it easy, or did we come to arrest you in person? The atmosphere in the orphanage suddenly became tense and stagnant. Yakushi Yi Nayu's eyes were solemn and serious, and he glanced at Zhang Lu worriedly. Kabuto shrank his neck even more nervously, feeling a little cold. Zhang Lu seemed to be a little silent. Facing two powerful opponents alone, it would be a huge pressure for anyone. One is one of the most famous Sannin in the ninja world today, and the other is Shimura Danzo, the leader of Konoha's dark roots. Snowflakes fell one after another, and there was a little white on Zhang Lu's shoulders. You guys really treat me as a third-rate character. Suddenly, an icy voice sounded, and a pair of cold eyes were also reflected in the eyes of the three of them at this time. In the next second, Zhang Lu took a step forward, and the snowflakes on the ground fluttered and vibrated. Be careful. The ninjas of the Aburame clan let out a low voice, the hairs on their bodies stood on end, and the instinctive fear of the insects was transmitted to his mind. Buzz. The void fluctuated for a while, and almost instantly, a foot appeared in front of him and swept over. Boom. This kick, before it even had time to block, the ninja of the Aburame clan flew upside down for dozens of meters, smashed the wall, and rolled out a long distance on the ground. The long shawl hair on Orochimaru's head was blown by the wind, and the expression on his face changed from a smile to a serious one. Danzo, who was standing beside him, was already solemn and angry. A pitch-black kunai appeared on his neck at some point. Careless. In an instant, the opponent pierced through the hole and got close. My kunai only need to stab forward an inch. Lord Danzo, your life is mine. But don't act rashly. Chapter 349 shocked. The ice-cold kunai was close to his neck, which made Danzo's eyes angry at the same time, but also gave birth to a touch of fear and jealousy. Death was only one step away from him, although he was very sure that it was impossible for this guy to actually do it, who knew whether the other party was a lunatic. Minato, big brother, I am very concerned about this place. Using Dean Yi Nayu and the children here as tools in your hands, neither I nor you will agree. Zhang Lu's indifferent words contained a hint of threat. Kunai exerted his strength, Danzo tightened his body, and a bright red bloodline appeared on his neck. He, Mr. Shui Lu is really beyond my expectations. Orochimaru smiled at this time. Suddenly, the moment he opened his mouth, an icy blade rushed out of his mouth and stabbed Zhang Lu's head. The latter reacted quickly, his figure flashed, and the blade almost rubbed his face and flew into the distance. Kabuto's whole body froze there in fear, and when he looked carefully, the blade that wiped Master Shulu's face was actually a lion majesty with a snake cord that was more than 1 meter long. And this sudden action also freed Danzo from Zhang Lu's control. His eyes were cold, and Kuwu suddenly shot out of his hand. Shish! In an instant, the space in front of Zhang Lu was blocked by a black kunai. Interesting. With a grin, Zhang Lu's eyes were also filled with fighting intent. After coming to the world of Hokage, he didn't really take a few shots. Whether it's a practice match with Minato or a sparring match with Uchiha Shisui, he's keeping his hands. But the current situation is obviously different. These two guys can really kill people. His head tilted to the left and right, making a clicking sound, and the fists between his hands were clenched and loosened. A battle between ninjas? Muttering, Zhang Lu leaned forward with a sharp look in his eyes. Although the amount of chakra today is only between Jonin, it should be enough to deal with the current situation. The right foot stepped forward, ripples appeared on the ground, the cyclone rolled the snowflakes, and Zhang Lu's figure had disappeared. Be careful, Danzo, this guy's speed, but fast, Orochimaru reminded. Of course I know. Danzo snorted coldly. The next second, a figure brushed past him, heading straight for Orochimaru. One of the legendary Sannin, I am very interested in you. Zhang Lu grinned. The right fist almost instantly hit the opponent's face. Advertisement, oh. This is a dangerous hobby, Orochimaru laughed. At this moment, the vertical pupil became gloomy and cold. The next second, he raised his arms, and the opponent's fist struck down. In an instant, his complexion changed slightly, and a slight clicking sound entered his ears. What a terrible power! Physique! Orochimaru's pupils shrank slightly, and he stepped back. Drag the ground with both feet and draw a long trace, almost tens of meters, before it stopped. Looking down, the left arm that collided with the other side was actually a little twisted at the moment. The power of this punch actually shattered the bones of his arm. Eyes were slightly cold. Orochimaru became serious. In his mind, only might wears the ninja who can cultivate physical skills to the ultimate level. Now, it seems that this Minato's younger brother also has unique accomplishments. You are too arrogant, and you want to deal with me and Orochimaru with the power of one person? A low voice sounded, and Danzo sealed his hands behind him and opened his mouth. Wind style, vacuum wave. The sharp breath came flying like a scythe, carrying a sharp cutting power, roaring, and came to its back in an instant. You can't escape. Danzo snorted coldly. He grasped the timing very well, and it was the moment when the opponent repelled Orochimaru. Physique? In this world of ninjutsu flying all over the sky, it's just the most superficial thing? But just when he thought of this in his mind, John Lu's figure suddenly distorted and disappeared in place. Shave. Itachi flew past and exploded on the ground, splashing a lot of snowflakes. Shish. John Lu appeared beside Yi Naiu, still smiling, but his eyes were sharp at this moment. President, protect Kabuto. As for what they just said, with me here, you don't have to worry. The gentle words came into Yi Naiu's ears, which made the kind ninja startled slightly, and then showed a grateful expression on his face. Then, she ran towards Kabuto as soon as she moved. But at this moment, a cold look flashed in Danzo's eyes, and he threw a kunai at Yi Naiu. John Lu's face turned cold, his body was moving, and his right hand was stretched out. Puff. Kunwu was held by John Lu's right hand, unable to move an inch, but the sharp blade cut through his palm, and blood dripped down. Advertisement, ninja, you shouldn't be kind, Suiryu-kun. Orochimaru's gloomy voice rang in his ears. John Lu raised his head, the snowflakes were flying, and the other person's body appeared in a weird twisted posture, his right hand stretched out. The hidden shadow snake hand. In an instant, dense snakes neighed, and thousands of snake bodies rushed out of their palms, opened their mouths, and swooped towards John Lu, blocking all sight. Almost instantly, John Lu was covered by a large number of snakes. Let's do something real, otherwise you are going to make a joke. John Lu said coldly. His mouth opened, and he suddenly took a deep breath. Then, sparks emerged, and the hot breath raised the surrounding temperature by dozens of baidu. Fire-style great fireball technique. The simple sea-level ninjutsu was released in John Lu's hands, but it had the power of ill-level ninjutsu. The terrifying fireball soared to dozens of meters in an instant. The terrifying high temperature caused Orochimaru's expression to change suddenly. The figure that was originally distorted and looked down suddenly shrank, bounced back, and retreated to the wall behind. The fireball almost rubbed his body, and the top of his head rose into the sky. Muji ninjutsu. His eyes shrank, his heart trembled, and he stared at John Lu. At that moment just now, he clearly didn't see the other party's seal, but how is this possible? However, in the next second, John Lu turned around again and looked at Danzo. You try this trick too, wind style, vacuum wave. The fierce Kama Itachi roared, and in an instant, it reached Danzo's eyes, causing him to shrink his pupils and hurriedly make evasive actions. Boom. A heavy sound came out, and Danzo crashed directly into the far wall. There is no movement of the seal. Orochimaru saw clearly again, his eyes fixed on John Lu solemnly. He didn't know what the reason was, but he was shocked. Anyone who practices ninjutsu knows what this means. However, in the next second, John Lu's figure disappeared again. Shish. The top of the head blurred for a while, the other party had appeared, and the right foot was raised. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly, and the corners of his mouth grinned. So funny. Muji ninjutsu, and this unique taijutsu. I'm so interested. Chapter 350. I see people very accurately. Buzz. At this moment, the void above his head changed, and a strong oppressive force came, causing Orochimaru to shrink back and perform defensive actions again. Tempest kick. John Lu slashed down with his right foot, slashing, whistling, and slammed into Orochimaru. Strangely, at this moment, Orochimaru's body, like a snake, bent into a twisted shape, and when it hit the ground, it quickly returned to normal. You're funny too, Orochimaru. John Lu fell to the ground, looked at Orochimaru who stood up slowly not far away, and smiled softly. I'm also very interested in you. Orochimaru stretched out his hand, a kunai appeared, and said with a smile, really? Then, the vertebrae of his body extended like a snake, and the tongue in his mouth also turned into a snake core, which quickly ejected. In an instant, he was in front of John Lu, and his right hand waved violently. Minato's younger brother has such a penultimate talent. It really surprised me. It's been more than 20 years, but I've never heard of it. The sound reverberated in his ears. John Lu also waved his kunai, collided with the opponent fiercely, made a ding sound, and sparks flew everywhere. You haven't heard of it, but there are more, Orochimaru. In John Lu's hand, kunai also swung out and attacked the opponent. Orochimaru resisted, and with a ding sound, his wrists trembled, and Kunwu unexpectedly let go, which made him straighten his eyes and retreat immediately. Powerful physical skills are really terrifying. It seems that I can't fight close to you. Afterwards, he put his hands together and prepared to perform ninjutsu. But at this moment, Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly, and his heart trembled violently. Because of the other party's figure, it disappeared again. Shadows emerged from behind, with energy fluctuations and a rapidly spinning sharp breath appearing behind his forehead. If you continue to fight here and attract the attention of the village, it will be a bad thing. What do you think? Orochimaru-kun. John Lu stretched out one hand, and what he held in his hand was a light blue energy ball. Rasengan? Did Minato even teach you this trick? Orochimaru said softly, but did not act rashly. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he was more afraid of the man behind him. In addition, at the moment just now, the movement of the opponent's disappearance was not purely physical, but more like it. Flying Thunder God technique. Muttering in his heart, Orochimaru was even more interested in the man who appeared out of nowhere. Hidden for more than 20 years, he suddenly appeared after Minato took over, and, what is even more terrifying is that the other party actually possesses such a powerful strength. Advertisement, it's better to end here. You and Danzo are also evacuated safely. How? Zhang Lu said with a light smile. Naturally, he knew very well that in this brief battle, it was impossible to decide the outcome for each other. Orochimaru, one of the Sanins, can't easily solve it like this. Even Danzo, who had just been knocked into the air, came over again with a cold face at this moment. However, as long as you show your strength, it is enough to show your identity. After all, on the bright side, both sides are still Konoha's ninjas, and he is the younger brother of 4th Hokage. In a sense, they are still the same faction. It's a good proposition, and I agree. Orochimaru licked his lips and said with a smile. In the future, there will be a lot of time to get to know each other. He slowly turned around and faced Rasengan, who was almost at the tip of his nose, but he was not at all nervous and had no emotion of fear. This also means that Orochimaru has sufficient confidence to take this blow. Shui Lujun. After a pause, Orochimaru glanced at Danzo who was approaching again, his eyes narrowed slightly. Compared to your big brother Minato, Suiryu-kun is really two completely opposite people. Zhang Lu looked directly into each other's eyes, and after a while, he released the Rasengan in his hands. Evaluating a person is not a one-sided relationship, and it can be done at will. Orochimaru smiled. I've always seen people very accurately. Shui Lujun, it should be very compatible with me. Then, he turned around and walked outside the orphanage. We will see you soon. At this moment, Orochimaru was full of interest. Compared with the cooperation with Danzo, Zhang Lu's taijutsu and Muji ninjutsu shown in the battle are so miraculous. When he walked out of the orphanage, Orochimaru smiled wickedly. Apart from these, what else did he hide? A very creative guy. Appearing suddenly, and using something that has never been seen in the ninja world, Zhang Lu is undoubtedly very special to Orochimaru, full of creativity. And this kind of research on ninjutsu, taijutsu, and the world is undoubtedly the direction that Orochimaru is interested in. Therefore, he just thought that the two would get along very well. Namikaze Waterflow. Hey, that's it for this time. It's just an orphanage, I'm curious what purpose you have for them. Danzo came over and said coldly. The ninjas of the Aburame clan also followed. No delivery. Zhang Lu smiled lightly. Advertisement. When the three of them left, Zhang Lu just turned to look at Yi Naiyu and Kabuto, and smiled slightly. President Yi Naiyu. Master Shui Lu. Yi Naiyu is a very gentle woman, relieved and smiled. She stood with Kabuto, both wearing glasses, looking really like a mother and son. Kid, what you did just now was very dangerous. Zhang Lu looked at Kabuto again and said with a smile. I almost got caught by them. Trust me, that's not the future you want. Yakushi Kabuto looked at Zhang Lu with an excited expression. Although he is still young, he is already very smart, and he knows what the concept of Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, is. But the man in front of him was able to match the opponent, and even forced him back, as well as the terrifying middle-aged man. Master Shui Lu. Zhang Lu nodded and bent down. Tell me your name. My name is Yakushi Kabuto. Kabuto mustered his courage. Yi Naiyu stood aside with a smile on his face. She was keenly aware that this Master Shui Lu seemed to be very interested in Kabuto. Kabuto, are you interested in following me? Become a powerful ninja? Zhang Lu asked with a smile. Such words undoubtedly made Yi Naiyu and Kabuto stunned for a moment, and then became even more excited. Kabuto. Promise Master Shulyu. Yi Naiyu patted Kabuto, reminding him not to miss this opportunity. Can I really learn ninjutsu with Master Suiryu? Kabuto asked in a trembling voice, excited but also timid. Haha, I heard my brother mention that you seem to be very talented in medical ninjutsu. Then, naturally, you can learn ninjutsu, Zhang Lu said with a smile. At the same time, the heart is also sighing. The timid, nervous little guy in front of him was Yakushi Kabuto. In the future ninja world, one of the big bosses who secretly moved chess pieces and disturbed the whole world. But at present, it is just a weak and powerless child who can only be manipulated by others. You are very talented, Kabuto. I see people very accurately. Zhang Lu said again. Chapter 351 Family. Almost the same words and tone that Orochimaru said just now brought Kabuto in Nanoyu's mood, but they were completely different. I do. Kabuto is young, but he knows what that means. Since then, he has been separated from the orphanage, has clothes to wear, has enough food to eat, and can even become a ninja. This is almost equivalent to the opportunity to leap from the Dragon Gate, enough to change his destiny. Ha ha. Zhang smiled, bent down and patted Kabuto's shoulder, then looked at Yi Nayu. Then, Dean Yi Nayu, I will take this little guy. You shouldn't be reluctant, right? Yakushi Nanoyu adjusted his glasses and said with a smile, it's his luck that Kabuto can follow you to practice with you. In addition, these items in the orphanage are also very grateful for your support. Of course, she knew very well that the busy Lord Hokage couldn't care about the affairs of the orphanage at all. Konoha is very big, but the orphanage is very small, so small that you will not pay attention to this place. In the future, there may be some things that need to be asked by President Yi Nayu. At that time, I still need to trouble you, Zhang Lu smiled. Sir Shui Lu, you are too kind, Nanoyu said warmly. Compared to the previous Orochimaru, Danzo, the water flow, the momentum on his body, the feeling is somewhat similar to the Hokage-sama, very warm. Afterwards, Zhang Lu took Kabuto and turned to leave here. Yi Nayu watched the backs of the two with a smile on her face. She was really happy for Kabuto. On the road, two figures, one big and one small, left footprints and the wind and snow were blowing, but Kabuto's heart was very hot. Ninja, he can really be a ninja. Although I have learned some healing ninjutsu with Dean no Nayu before, in this era of war and strife, only strength can give a person a sense of security. Water, Mizuyu-sama, can I really be a ninja? Kabuto, who seemed to be in a dream, still felt unreal until now, and asked nervously again. Of course, I will teach you personally. You're bound to be a great ninja. Zhang Lu smiled. Compared with the various giants of Konoha, the power of the Namikaze family is undoubtedly weak, and the background is too poor. The first and foremost is the number of personnel. The strong words are enough. Gold Glitter Namikaze Minato, plus him, really doesn't frighten anyone. I still need to get in touch with these people from the Senju clan, the Hyuga clan. Advertisement. The birth of Rinnegan seems to be the fusion of the bloodlines of the Uchiha family and the Senju family, and the white eyes of the Hyuga family are related to Tenseigan? It's been a long time, and some things Zhang Lu can't remember. Thank you so much, Master Shulyu. I will definitely study hard and live up to your expectations. Kabuto's excited words came at this time. Zhang Lu nodded with a smile, and rubbed the hair of the child beside him again. When he returned to the yard, Guy was already in place, and Kakashi also took off his mask and quietly leaned aside. Obviously, during this period of time, the two teenagers have become accustomed to eating here. In the small courtyard, there is a lively and warm atmosphere. Kabuto, from now on, you will live here, Zhang Lu smiled. Yes, Master Shui Lu, Kabuto said nervously. Guy and Kakashi turned their eyes and looked at Kabuto with curiosity on their faces. Teacher, who is he? Guy asked. Our newest member, Kabuto, introduce yourself. Zhang Lu said with a smile. Yakushi Kabuto immediately bowed solemnly. My name is Yakushi Kabuto. Guy blinked and laughed. My name is Might Guy, you can call me Big Brother Guy, Kabuto. We will be a family from now on. Kabuto was surprised when he heard the name. Are you the blue beast? After he said it, he just realized that he had said the wrong thing, quickly covered his mouth, and lowered his head to shout. I'm sorry, Brother Guy, ha ha ha. I like this title very much, the blue beast of Konoha, Kabuto. Guy raised his fist and extended his thumb, his exposed teeth gleaming. Seeing that the other party was not angry, Kabuto breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at the other guy who was a little cold. Hitaki Kakashi. Kakashi nodded. Ah, you are that genius ninja from the Hitaki family. Kabuto said in surprise. Kakashi didn't respond. What kind of genius is he? Where is the genius who can't protect his teammates? At this time, Namikaze Minato came out and greeted everyone. The meal is already ready, come here soon. It's Hokage-sama. Advertisement. Kabuto gets nervous again. He never imagined that he could have such a close encounter with Lord Hokage. For an orphan like him who lost his family, the distance between the two sides is very long. Yo, Shui Lu, you brought back another mouth. Uzumaki Kushina had a big belly and laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, don't worry, I won't be able to afford it, the new house of the Namikaze family, I'm already thinking of a way. Zhang Lu laughed. As the population increases, this yard is obviously not enough, not to mention, there will be more people in the future. How can you make money? Namikaze Minato said curiously. As a Hokage, he is often troubled by his family's financial situation, especially as Kushina's belly grows, it means that his son will be born soon. I have my own way out. Anyway, in a few days, you will just wait to move into your new home. Zhang Lu said with a smile, then I'm curious. Namikaze Minato smiled. He is very clear about his brother's recent actions. To form an alliance with Uchiha on behalf of the Namikaze clan is undoubtedly a bold move and a risky move that will attract the attention of some in the village. However, for him, this is undoubtedly no harm, and it can increase the stability in the village. Moreover, he has indeed felt the benefits of having someone beside him recently. In addition to Kakashi, he can also use Guy to deal with some things. If he had more people, some of his ideas might also be realized. Lord Hokage. Kabuto exclaimed nervously at this time, and sat aside with Zhang Lu. Compared to the casualness of Guy and Kakashi, his nervous, huddled look is a stark contrast. Hello, Kabuto, don't be so nervous, ha ha ha, take it easy. Minato said softly with a smile on his face. After Kushina sat down with difficulty, he also knocked on Kabuto's head. The water brought you back, that is, it treats you as family. Don't look like this, Little four eyes. Kabuto screamed in pain and hugged his head, but when he raised his head again, he saw the smiles on the faces of the people around the table, and his heart was filled with warmth. Then he nodded heavily and grinned. Yes, family, what an unfamiliar vocabulary, but now, I heard it again. Thank you, Master Water, I will not live up to your expectations. Chapter 352. That is a very scary person outside the window. Snowflakes fell one after another, and soon they accumulated in a thick layer in the yard. It was cold outside, but everyone inside was warm. The wood-burning stove crackled, and the people around the table burst into laughter from time to time. In such an environment, John Liu also showed a warm smile on his face. The world of Hokage is completely different from that of pirates, and the atmosphere in the air is both a feeling. Fetters, friendship, difficulties, and various contradictions in war make everything in this world black and white. Time passed, and the night passed in a blink of an eye. The next day, just before dawn, Minato went to work, and John Liu took Guy and Kabuto, who was just 6 years old, to practice in the yard. You already know the practice of chakra, so from today, we will learn something new. John Liu said to Kabuto with a smile. Yes, Master Shui Liu. Kabuto's loud Kaido, very aggressive. Chakra's practice is accumulated over time, and it is closely related to the quality and vitality of the body. This kind of thing can't be rushed, but the use of it in the close operation can be mastered through a short period of practice. John Liu said softly. Kushina had a big belly and leaned against the door to watch a few people. There was a touch of warmth on her face, and when she touched her stomach, she could clearly feel the powerful heartbeat of the life inside. In a short while, there should be one more little guy in this yard. As time goes by, the due date is getting closer and closer, which makes Kushina look forward to it even more. In the courtyard, John Liu is teaching the basic practice of Kabuto. After a while, he led Guy and Kabuto to go out for a run and exercise. Ninja, the quality of the body is the basic. No matter when, a strong physique can give you sufficient confidence and security. The voice of John Liu came from the front, making Guy and Kabuto fight high. We have to work hard, Kabuto, to follow in the footsteps of the master. Kabuto loudly Kaido. Kabuto, come with me tomorrow, you're going to the ninja school too. John Liu's voice came again. Yes, Master Shui Liu. Kabuto's spirit shook. Kaido again. The opportunity to attend classes at the ninja school is not for every commoner. Compared to other ninjas, you are far behind, so work harder. John Liu said. I understand, I'll do my best. Kabuto exclaimed. The three of them formed a simple queue, running and exercising among the leaves. In Hokage's office, advertisement Minato looked at the documents on the desk and frowned. Have you discovered the movement of those mysterious people some time ago? Who is it? Is it a ninja from another country, or a new group of unknown forces? Compared with the judgment of ninjas from other countries, he is more inclined to unknown forces. After fighting for many years, Konoha is already quite familiar with ninjas from other countries. This group of people wandering in the leaves is mysterious and erratic, and who can't lock it, and can even go deep into the village. Obviously, its threat is very high. What purpose do they have? Minato raised his head and looked out the window. At this glance, I happened to see a team of 3 people running in the snow. After a slight stun, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Waterflow is also very mysterious, hiding a lot of strength. Even, unlike me, he is an ambitious person. The Namikaze clan. Meanwhile, among the Sarutobi clan. How did you come? The retired 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the man in front of him unexpectedly. Hiruzen, do you know Minato? Or, do you know his younger brother, Namikaze Ryu? Shimura Danzo asked in a deep voice with a cold face. In the orphanage, the simple fight made him extremely jealous of the strength of the blonde man. But what's more problematic is that, before that day, he was completely unfamiliar with the name. Where did it come out of nowhere? Namikaze Waterflow. Sarutobi Hiruzen said in surprise. Did you come to me just for this man? Danzo nodded. Yes, I am for him. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, looked at the other party, and pondered. He had an impression of the name, but it was not very deep, and even when he recalled it, he couldn't remember what the other party looked like. There is indeed this man in the village. He seems to be Minato's younger brother. But many years ago, because I didn't have the talent of a ninja, I went to farm. It can be said that Minato took 2 completely opposite paths. With a sigh, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo suspiciously. Why did you suddenly come to ask the waterflow? Danzo heard the words, but sneered. Are you farming? If you can easily hurt me and drive back your disciple Orochimaru's guy, he's just a farmer. Then, what are we? Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his head in amazement. What did you say? Don't even you know? Advertisement? This Namikaze water stream has quite terrifying strength. He's been hiding himself all these years, Danzo said coldly, his eyes twinkling. What is the other party's purpose? He is quietly accumulating strength. Recently, his big brother became Hokage before he came out, which is obviously very abnormal. Powerful taijutsu, never seen in the ninja world, and that unique Muji ninjutsu. He can even perform a more powerful escape technique without forming a seal. Hiruzen, Namikaze Waterflow is definitely the most hidden civilian ninja in the entire Konoha. Perhaps, his talent will not be inferior to his big brother. I seriously doubt that the unique taijutsu and Muji ninjutsu he knows are all self-created. When he said this, there was a greed in Danzo's eyes. That perfect and powerful taijutsu, as well as Muji ninjutsu, are absolutely good things, which can instantly increase their own strength. If he could get it, who would he fear? Have I never heard Minato mention his brother, Namikaze Water? That's a surprise. Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a frown. Also, this Namikaze water stream has a posture of putting up the Namikaze clan brand. He has begun to gather, some orphans in Konoha are talented. Danzo said again. Yes? Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned for a while, then after long thought, he shook his head. Minato became Hokage, and with his talent, he was able to start a family, no problem. Danzo sneered. The problem is, this is not your disciple and grandson doing this, but his own brother. Namikaze Waterflow, definitely two people completely different from Minato, Hiruzen. I can clearly see the burning ambition in his eyes. That's a terrible person. After a simple battle with the other party, Danzo was deeply jealous of Zhonglu. He believes that Namikaze Stream is definitely a terrible man. You're too sensitive, Danzo, and, now Konoha's Hokage is Minato, you shouldn't get involved in too many things. Sarutobi Hiruzen said in a deep voice. You are so naive, Hiruzen. Danzo shouted angrily. Danzo, I am. Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to fight back, but he stopped abruptly in the middle of the conversation, and realized that he was no longer Hokage. The atmosphere was a little awkward and it fell into silence. But Danzo knew exactly what the other party was going to say, and snorted and turned away. At the same time, in front of the three Zhonglu, a figure appeared at an unknown time, standing there quietly, looking at them with a smile on their faces, as if waiting. Chapter 353 Body and Soul. The cold temperature in winter did not seem to have any effect on that person. Under the branches covered with snowflakes, the man was wearing thin clothes, long black hair draped over his shoulders, long golden pupils, somewhat similar to snakes, pale skin, and blue hook-shaped earrings on his ears. Even at a distance, there is still a sense of danger. Kabuto was the first to get nervous, and the pores all over his body shrunk. Master Orochimaru. As the distance got closer, Guy also recognized it and cried out in surprise. Today's Sannin is at the most famous time, and it is also the most prestigious time among Konoha. Especially Orochimaru, who competed with Minato for the Hokage position. It can be said that if it is not the influence of character or thinking and some hidden things, fourth Hokage, he is the best candidate. Now, Orochimaru, one of the Sannins, was standing in front, and the team slowed down immediately. Zhonglu was also looking at each other at the moment, and the moment the two looked at each other, they seemed to understand each other's meaning, and they showed a smile invariably. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Shui Lujun. Orochimaru said with a smile. Of course, even if his appearance is smiling, it gives people a sense of danger of evil smiles, which makes people feel nervous. Oh, is there something wrong? Zhonglu also laughed. Guy and Kabuto hid behind him, holding their breaths, not daring to make a sound. We should have a good chat. Are you free to chat for a while? Orochimaru smiled lightly. Ken? Zhonglu didn't hesitate either. This character, one of Konoha Sannin, does have something in his hands that he wants. Similarly, he also has a little understanding of the other party's character pursuit. Mad scientist? Paranoid? The tireless pursuer of longevity? These names seem to be able to be used on the other side. But in short, this Orochimaru also seems to have the talent of penultimate in research. Moreover, the other party is also a rare genius among the commoners. Guy, Kabuto. Then, he turned around and shouted at the two of them, one high and one low. Yes. The two held their heads high and hurriedly shouted in response. You continue to practice and complete the established goals. Zhonglu said. Yes, teacher, your lord, advertisement. The two responded, and then continued to run forward, leaving only a back in the blink of an eye. Zhonglu looked at Orochimaru with a smile on his face. Let's talk then. Soon, the two walked side by side. This road is very remote, the surrounding jungle is dense, and few people have passed it. The two of them walked all the way without being disturbed. Shui Lu, as fourth Hokage's younger brother, in the past 20 years, few people have known about it, and it has been hidden very deeply. Orochimaru said with a faint smile. It seemed like a small talk, but Zhonglu knew very well that a guy like the other party who made a special trip to wait here would naturally not be that simple. It's not hiding, it's just silently cultivating. There are some things that can only be really studied if you calm down. Zhonglu responded with a smile. Orochimaru nodded. Yes, civilian ninjas like us, without any advantage in blood, can only study on their own. Being able to have the current strength, you must have paid a lot for Shui Lu. After turning around, Orochimaru looked at Zhonglu and licked his lips. Muyin, the more powerful ninjutsu, and the unique taijutsu with great destructive power. Shui Lu, you have stepped out of a new path, it's amazing. If such an achievement is spread out, it will definitely cause a huge shock. It's more shocking than your big brother improving second generation's flying thunder god technique to create a Rasengan. Hearing this, Zhonglu just smiled, and then said, I actually admire you more, Orochimaru. Oh, Orochimaru said in surprise, with a smile on his face. The other party has researched a new path and has something in common with himself, which is why he cherishes each other and feels that the other party will become the same. If you are admired by such people, it is undoubtedly a kind of affirmation and recognition. What is the essence of life? Where is the root of ninjutsu? Zhonglu's first sentence made Orochimaru's pupils shrink and his attitude became more serious. He has thought about these things and is taking action. Unexpectedly, the other party said it directly. In this world, there are many so-called blood successor families, but there are more commoners. What is the difference between them? Why are these talented people born with advantages? Where's the answer? What's the reason? Why is human life so fragile? It's only been a few decades, hundreds of years. Can we break through the so-called blockade of the gods and make ourselves live longer? Become stronger? Zhang Lu's voice, with a smile, but with a deeper thirst for knowledge. Advertisement. It also caused Orochimaru to think deeply and silently. He was also thinking, and he was more interested in these issues. The two stopped and fell silent. After a long while, Orochimaru just raised his head and said to Zhang Lu with a smile, I didn't read it wrong. Shui Lujun is indeed my fellow. You and I both have a strong thirst for knowledge and a strong interest in some issues. Zhang Lu smiled slightly. I also heard about some of your research in the village Orochimaru. It seems that you were united with Danzo, right? Orochimaru nodded lightly. Deep-minded and ambitious politicians are naturally inferior to like-minded friends like Shui Lujun who have experience in research. This sentence undoubtedly shows his recognition of Zhang Lu. A man who can create muji and powerful physical skills naturally has scientific wisdom. If it's research, I have some interest. Zhang Lu smiled. He knew very well that the other party had what he wanted. For example, Senju Hashirama's cells, corpses. The corpse of such a powerful person who is almost known as a god. Every cell is a treasure of Konoha village, and naturally it is not so easy to obtain. Not even Minato can do anything about it. Haha, I'm satisfied to get your affirmative answer from Shui Lu. In the future, we will definitely have space for cooperation. Orochimaru laughed. You may have some research on ninjutsu and taijutsu. Then, do you know anything about life and soul? Walking forward, Orochimaru's voice sounded again. Zhang Lu smiled slightly and followed. There is indeed a soul in this world, even. After a pause, he said something that made Orochimaru's pupils shrink. There are also so-called Shinigami. But Orochimaru, since you speak of life, soul. I just happen to have some simple insights. Orochimaru nodded earnestly, all ears. Life can be divided into body and soul, and when the two are united, the soul becomes a complete soul. The body is the human body. Whether he is strong or not is related to the safety of the soul, and the soundness of the soul also represents the stability of the human body. Between the two, if one is missing, one will die, and if one is combined, one will live. Zhang Lu's words were simple, but Orochimaru was shocked and had a feeling of empowerment. Chapter 354 Interesting experiment. People in this world do not have much profound understanding of the human body and soul. Even, no one will deliberately study these things. Years of war have made humans and ninjas pursue more of their strength. War means death, short life, and naturally no one thinks of ways to live longer. Because there is no power, it will die. Life has already become extremely cheap here. Although Zhang Lu's words are only simple theories and not even accurate, for Orochimaru's research direction, it is like the light of a beacon at night, indicating the direction. The unification of body and soul is more like the general outline of research. It's a complicated system, Orochimaru-kun. Zhang Lu smiled and saw that the other party was attracted. Shui Lujun's research on life makes me admire and would like to hear more about it. Orochimaru said softly with a look of respect in his eyes. He hopes to get more answers, and he also admires those who walk in front of him. Because he knows very well how difficult it is for so-called scientific research to draw an accurate conclusion, and how many setbacks and failures he has to go through. It is difficult for ordinary people to understand the soul level. It can't be seen, can't be touched, and can't even be felt. But the body is real. Zhang Lu smiled and stretched out his right hand. Limbs, body, head, internal organs, hair, flesh and blood, these are the human body. Orochimaru raised his eyebrows slightly and continued listening. Humans have these things, and they are very common. Is there any difference? They are vulnerable to powerful attacks and ninjutsu. Orochimaru-kun, don't underestimate the human body. When he was born, he might not be able to match even a kitten or a puppy, but as he grows up and deliberately cultivates, he will have great power. Not to mention the energy in the body. Chakra is unique to ninjas, just talk about this flesh and blood. It can also have terrifying power, Zhang Lu said with a smile. But obviously, Orochimaru didn't particularly believe it, because there weren't many pure taijutsu practitioners, and even the samurai of the Iron Country had a gap compared with the ninjas. Zhang Lu saw it, he smiled, and then clenched his fists. Then, without hesitation, he punched the ground in front of him. Boom! In an instant, the ground was torn apart, a deep pit appeared, and spider webs spread around. Advertisement. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed, his heart trembled. It's not inferior to Tsunade's punch. Could it be that this is just the power of his pure body? Zhang Lu seemed to see his doubts. As long as the flesh and blood is constantly polished, it is like a piece of steel that has been tempered 1,000 times. It will be very powerful. This punch, I didn't use chakra. I don't understand Tsunade's punch, it's pure brute force. But, it's far from being the strongest. After a pause, he smiled again. Orochimaru, a strong physique means faster speed, heavier strength, and more sensitive reflexes. Similarly, there are more powerful vitality. The human body is the ferryboat of the soul. Only when the soul stands on the boat can people reach the other shore. And this is exactly the point that thousands of ninjas ignore. Orochimaru was stunned. He seemed to have learned a new path from the words of the other party. Wet Bone Forest, Ryuchi Cave, Mount Myoboku, these are the 3 legendary lands, right? It's the Ryuchi cave that you're connected to. They have a way of cultivating natural energy, but humans don't. Why is that? Have you ever thought that this may be the reason why the human body is not strong enough? The boat that the soul is standing on is not tough enough to withstand the impact of the mixed energy from the void in nature, so it cannot be cultivated. If our body is strong enough that natural energy cannot destroy it, then the unique sage mode belonging to human beings may come. Zhonglu's voice was like a bolt of lightning, hitting Orochimaru, causing him to go into a trance. After a long time, he raised his hands and looked at his fair, thin arms. It turns out that the reason why I have been unable to practice sage mode is that my body is not strong enough. And this is only the flesh and blood of human beings, and the soul is more complicated. But there are also many things involved, such as illusions, the Sharingan of the Uchiha family, and the white eyes may all be related to the soul. In ninjutsu, there is a saying of yin and yang, which may also be related to the human soul and body. Zhonglu said with a smile. At this point, he stopped, and he said a lot on a whim. There is truth in it, but also his own unique understanding. The strength of the human body is fundamental, and it is connected in any world, and physical skills are universal in any world. Advertisement energy, the rules will change, but the human body will not. Orochimaru fell into silence. He digested it for a while, then took a deep breath, raised his head in amazement, and stared at Zhonglu. There are more things in his eyes, surprise, shock and admiration. Forerunner. Compared to myself, the Namikaze waterflow in front of me is the forerunner. He was already far ahead of him. Shui Lujun, after hearing your words, I can't wait to show you something. Orochimaru said. What? Zhonglu was stunned. Orochimaru didn't say anything, but grabbed his hand, not allowing him to refuse. After a while, the two reached a hidden jungle. After 7 turns, a building appeared in front of it, and there were people hiding and guarding it all around. This is my lab, to do some scientific research. Among them, the most important is the research work on the active cells in the body of Hokage Senju Hashirama. After entering the building, Zhonglu looked at the precise instruments, as well as the animals and limbs immersed in the mysterious liquid, and heard Orochimaru's words in his ears. After a few steps forward, I also saw a living person who was tied to the operating table and passed out in a coma. Wood style is a powerful bloodline limit that many Konoha people covet and want to crack. Similarly, Senju Hashirama-sama's body is also very strong, and his vitality is very shocking. This is the same as what you said about the cultivation human body, Shui Lujun, and the signs after being strong. You may be able to give me more opinions, and even if the two of us join forces, maybe we can completely crack the wood style of Hokage. Orochimaru's voice was a little excited. It must be a feat to crack wood style. So, Orochimaru-kun, do you have the cells of Lord Hashirama in your hands? Zhonglu raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile. Good. Orochimaru nodded without hesitation. Next, I'll take you to watch an interesting experiment. It may be bloody, but it's definitely fun. Master Hashirama's cells are one of the key points. Chapter 355 Wood Style A Cell of Hokage Senju Hashirama? Zhonglu is naturally aware of this famous ninja in the ninja world. Senju Hashirama, one of the founders of Konohagakure, first generation, is known as the legendary ninja together with Uchiha Madara, and is also known as the god of ninjas by the world. From his various rumors, we can appreciate the strength of this ninja. Among its skills, the most powerful is wood style, which is a secret technique created by Senju Hashirama alone, at the same time as the boundary of blood. Since the death of Senju Hashirama, the people of the Senju clan have never again achieved this unique escape technique. However, some people in Konoha have never given up the research and experimentation of this powerful escape technique. Apparently, Orochimaru's project with Danzo is like that. I'm very interested. Zhonglu narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a smile. Then, Orochimaru led him through heavily guarded doors into a closed space. There are people in white coats and masks covering their faces, busy quietly. At the very center was an operating table on which was tied a terrified man, his limbs bound. Naturally, there is no way for a dead person to test. Orochimaru said lightly. In his heart, a man who has studied the soul of life so thoroughly, and has also developed unique physical skills in ninjutsu, will naturally not care about such a living test scene. Konoha, it seems that such an experiment will not be allowed. Zhonglu said softly, staring at the man on the operating table. This is not a simple commoner, but a trained ninja with chakra distribution in his body. So, it's all happening in the dark. Shui Lujun, shouldn't you tell 4th generation about this? Orochimaru laughed. Of course, this is a secret between us. Zhonglu nodded. They all made mistakes. The death row prisoners who should have been executed, if they can make some contributions to scientific research, they will be considered dead. Orochimaru explained with a smile. Zhonglu nodded, and his eyes became serious. He saw a person in a white coat holding a needle instrument with light green liquid in it. This is the cellular fluid of Lord Hashirama. After a pause, Orochimaru explained again. Of course, it is diluted and extracted. Otherwise, the powerful cellular activity will instantly assimilate humans into wood. Advertisement speaking of which, he exclaimed again. As expected of a powerful god in the ninja world, even if he dies, his cells and body are still extremely powerful. Zhonglu didn't respond, quietly watching the white lab coat put the green liquid into the arm of the man tied to the operating table. At this time, Orochimaru stopped talking and watched intently. Time passed minute by minute, and the green liquid seemed to play a role. I saw the man lying on the operating table, his facial expression suddenly changed to pain and fear, and he began to struggle vigorously. After about 3 or 4 breaths, his body began to change. From the arm, new and tender branches grow, and green shoots grow in the palm. The man was in more pain and screamed loudly, but none of the people present cared about his pain, they were all paying attention to the movement of his body. It has changed, Lord Hashirama's cells are merging with him. The white coat cried excitedly. Orochimaru naturally noticed it, and his eyes moved slightly, revealing a hint of anticipation. The man lying on the operating table was even more painful, his complexion became a little yellow, but his body had undergone great changes. Green branches began to sprout from his hands and feet, and these branches were growing at an extremely fast speed, and in a blink of an eye, they had already reached the ceiling, filling the entire space. At this moment, Zhang Lu suddenly moved. He took a few steps forward and pressed against the man's right leg. Orochimaru noticed, his eyes flashed, but he didn't stop it, because the other party has withdrawn his hand. At this moment, the man on the operating table suddenly stopped moving, his eyes turned white, and new tender branches grew on his limbs and abdomen. Other parts of the skin also have a distinct wood texture. Fusion failed. The excitement on the white coat's face retreated and he sighed. Record the data of experiment number 145. Orochimaru's expression didn't show anything, and he said lightly. Yes. The white coat responded, and then began to examine the experimental body on the operating table. Let's go, Shui Lujun, I thought this experiment would make some progress. Orochimaru said regretfully. Master Hashirama's cells have a very strong vitality activity, and ordinary people cannot fuse with them at all. If you want to integrate, you need luck and a connection in blood. Zhang Lu said with a light smile. The two left the laboratory and came to a restroom. Advertisement, what advice do you have, Shui Lujun? Orochimaru asked curiously. I just watched an experiment, but I can't make any effective suggestions. After all, this is the wood-style experiment of the god of ninjas. Zhang Lu laughed. Orochimaru sighed, but not surprised. However, such cell fusion will inherently have a rejection reaction between human beings. The smaller the rejection, the better the fusion should be, and the bigger it is, the opposite is true. Exclusion? Orochimaru froze for a moment, his eyes lit up. However, Orochimaru-kun, I still need to remind you. Zhang Lu suddenly said. Shui Lujun, please say it. Orochimaru wrote. Such a wood-style experiment, even if successful, may yield completely different results than you might expect. After a pause, Zhang Lu sighed softly. After all, not everyone is Senju Hashirama. Orochimaru was startled, then nodded slightly. Thank you Shui Lujun for the reminder, I will pay attention. Afterwards, Zhang Lu said goodbye and left. He promised Orochimaru that he would come here from time to communicate with him, improve experiments, and conduct other scientific studies. This is undoubtedly a good thing. Sanin like Orochimaru has a lot of good things on his hands. For example, the moment Zhang Lu walked out of the experiment, the system prompts in his mind started to ring incessantly. Congratulations host, you can learn wood style. This is what I got when I touched the experimental body not long ago. Although the other party failed and finally died, when he was alive, he did fuse Hashirama cells and awaken wood style. Congratulations on learning wood style, which can be increased and derived. Amplification is successful. Evolution is successful. Congratulations on your awakening of the bloodline limit, wood style. In an instant, Zhang Lu felt a change in his body, and a steady stream of vitality was rapidly being born. It is really a majestic, terrifying vitality, and it is also an unprecedented feeling. From the depths of the cell, the limbs poured out, filling the body, and finally headed towards the head and 2 eyes. In an instant, Zhang Lu's eyes felt a burning sensation. In the next second, his pupils, which were originally black and white, turned blood red, followed by a circle of deep lines. Chapter 356 Rinnegan. The supreme pupil technique in this Hokage world is called the eye that controls life and death. After Zhang Lu master wood style, equal to indirect master Ashura power, he awakened in an instant. In the purple Rinnegan, the circles of lines seem to symbolize the supreme secret of the world, exuding mysterious and powerful colors. In the original book, Uchiha Madara didn't wake up his eyes until he got old after fusing Hashirama cells. But under his unique learning ability, Zhang Lu has it in an instant. A steady stream of vitality, mysterious power is also surging at this moment, filling all around his body. At the same time, wisps of strange sensations also poured out in my mind. 6 paths reincarnation, 6 chakra properties. There was enlightenment in Zhang Lu's eyes, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. From this moment on, he will be able to use Rinnegan's abilities, including heaven, animal, Kido, earth, hell, Shira, and Gedo statue. There is no doubt that these legendary Rinnegans are definitely the most powerful pupil technique. It fits my physique perfectly. After sensing it carefully, Zhang Lu sighed softly. The next second, he took a step forward, the lines in his eyes disappeared, and he returned to black and white eyes. This is the performance of Rinnegan's perfect fusion with his own physique, which can hide the features of the eyes at will. Of course, because of the amount of chakra in Zhang Lu's body at the moment, he couldn't support the consumption of his eyes, so he couldn't release it for a long time. I didn't expect that when I entered Orochimaru's laboratory, there would be such a surprise harvest. Zhang Lu smiled and walked away happily. Mangekyo Sharingan has not been further evolved, but Rinnegan has appeared, which undoubtedly gives him a strong guarantee for his survivability in this world. Wood Style, Rinnegan, these two powerful skills, got it in one fell swoop. The amount of chakra, the constitution of the Uzumaki clan. Zhang Lu murmured, his eyes flashing slightly. It seems that it is time to find a chance to meet each other. In just an instant, the physique that can accommodate a large amount of chakra will belong to him. When they got home, Guy and Kabuto were lying there tired and sleeping. Have you been in contact with Orochimaru? Minato came over with a serious look on his face and asked aloud. Well, a brief exchange. Zhang Lu smiled and nodded. Among the Sannin, Orochimaru is the most dangerous. You have to pay attention. It is best to stay away from this man. Minato said in a low voice. Advertisement. After a pause, he stared at Zhang Lu again and said. In recent days, there have also been some bad rumors. If you have an affair with him, it may also affect your reputation. Since you want to build the Namikaze clan, you must always pay attention. Zhang Lu was taken aback for a moment, then nodded with a smile. I understand. Don't worry, Minato. Minato's tense expression loosened. He knew that this younger brother was a man of ideas, and his mind was more active than his own, and he was more sensitive to politics. Alliance with the Uchiha clan, contact with Orochimaru, what you have done recently is a little dangerous, Waterflow. I am worried about you. Namikaze. Minato sighed softly. Zhang Lu's expression didn't change. He smiled and said, don't worry, big brother. With my strength, there is no problem. On the contrary, you should pay more attention to Kushina recently. She's about to give birth. When it comes to this issue, Minato is also nervous and can't control Zhang Lu. Kushina is indeed about to give birth. Her belly is getting more and more obvious day by day, and her due date is approaching. The birth of a newborn is also unpredictable, and no one knows when it will suddenly come. Let's eat first. I can feel that this little guy can stay alive. Kushina laughed. The two brothers have always been very harmonious, but today there are some conflicts due to some issues, which makes her a little helpless. The meal was quiet, but Kabuto and Guy were active, constantly fighting with Kakashi, who was always frowning and seemed to be troubled by something. Kakashi, what's bothering you? When leaving the table, Zhang Lu asked with a smile. Recently, there have been some unknown and mysterious people in the village. The teacher thinks that these guys may have bad intentions. Kakashi whispered. This should be considered a secret of the village, but Uncle Shulyu, the teacher's younger brother and Hokage's aide, should be able to know. A mysterious person? Zhang Lu murmured, his eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that it is coming soon. Don't worry about this, it's time to deal with it. Minato big brother will deal with it. Kakashi nodded. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, winter turned to spring, and the weather gradually warmed up. In the jungle of Konoha village, new seedlings have also grown and become lush. Minato is focused on handling Konoha's political work, while Zhang Lu is building his small team. Cultivation of the six forms is based on a strong physique. Guy, you are working hard and making rapid progress, and you are already qualified to start practicing. Advertisement in the yard. Zhang Lu smiled and said to Mike Guy, who was doing push-ups with one hand. Hearing this news, Guy's movements suddenly stagnated, and then the whole catapulted up and shouted excitedly. Really, Master? Can I learn our Namikaze-style taiju? In his opinion, six forms is definitely the same level of taijutsu as 8 inner gates. Moreover, compared to the load and destruction of the body by the 8 inner gates, the sixth form is safer. As long as you keep up with your physical fitness, you can practice cultivation and have powerful attack and destructive power. Can? Zhang Lu nodded affirmatively. Yohu. Guy cried out excitedly. He has been looking forward to learning the six forms for a long time, and now he can finally. Congratulations, Guy big brother, I'm so envious. Kabuto leaned on the ground and looked up enviously. Kabuto, you can study in the future, but for now, it's still a long way off, you have to work hard. Also, your posture is crooked. Zhang Lu smiled. His teacher, Kabuto said loudly, quickly corrected his posture and continued to do push-ups up and down. Although he is still young, the amount of training is not small at all. Come on, Guy, I will teach you now. Zhang Lu got up and said with a smile. Guy hurried over and looked at him expectantly. What is the six forms? You should already be very clear. Zhang Lu said. I know, I have seen the master use it before. Guy nodded. Shave, moonwalk, tempest kick, paper arts, and there seems to be another trick called finger pistol, but I've never seen the teacher use it, so I don't know the last trick. Zhang Lu nodded with a smile. Then, I'll show you all the tricks of the six forms. Guy stared at it carefully. Shave. Zhang Lu seemed to slow down on purpose, his feet suddenly turned into phantoms and stomped on the ground. In an instant, a circle of ripples flickered, and his figure disappeared. Cancel, gone. Kabuto widened his eyes and said in shock. Chapter 357 Teaching the Six Forms. The principle of this trick is actually very simple, but it is also extremely difficult to learn. Strong physical fitness is the foundation. Stomping on the ground dozens of times at high speed with both feet in a row, the powerful explosive force will make you disappear in place in an instant. After appearing in another place, Zhang Lu just explained. Well, now, Guy, try it. Guy was a little nervous when he heard the words. The principle sounded simple, but it was really difficult to do it. Both feet continuously stepped on the ground at high speed, and the time for this process was even reduced to within 0.2.0.3 seconds. That requires the strength of the body, the legs, and the speed to reach the ultimate in an instant, which is unimaginable. This alone is not something normal people can do, only superhumans. Can I really? Guy doubts himself. Try it. Zhang laughed. Guy nodded, then took a deep breath. He closed his eyes first and recalled what the master had just done, then he opened his eyes and moved his feet. Buzz. On the ground, a layer of ripples suddenly appeared. Immediately afterwards, Guy disappeared with a swoosh. Did you make it? Kabuto's eyes widened at this scene. Humans can really rely solely on body techniques to make themselves disappear. This speed is even faster than body flicker technique. But soon, a thud came from the side, and Guy's face was pressed to the ground, the whole person fell to the ground, and a gray face appeared. Puff puff. Guy kept spitting out the dust in his mouth, and then got up, but the expression on his face was excited and excited. I really can, master. Zhang nodded and said with a smile, your physical fitness has reached a standard. If you work hard, of course you can do it. However, in the first study, the flaws are still very large. Even the direction and the balance of the body are not well controlled. It's not a success, but more practice. Guy nodded excitedly. Yes. Next, I will continue to demonstrate, Zhang said again. Then, his figure flashed, and he rushed into the air again, and began to walk in the air, making a thumping cyclone. This is moonwalk. The principle is the same as that of shaving. By stepping on it, it generates a strong airborne force, and it can temporarily walk in the air. Advertisement. It allows you to attack the enemy's dead end from the air. Guy nodded heavily, eager to try, but soon, Zhang resorted to another trick. Paper arts. Let the whole body relax, unload all the strength, and by sensing the air movement generated by the opponent's movements, the body becomes as thin as paper, avoiding any attack from the enemy. The figure became erratic in an instant. Zhang continued to demonstrate after seeing Guy nod. Tempest kick. The right leg was raised, and then slammed down. Buzz. The air trembled, and a powerful slash plowed out a trace on the ground, and the sand and stones splashed up. Use your legs as long knives, swipe powerful kicks at super high speed, and roll the vacuum to produce slashes, which can instantly cut through any enemy. Without stopping, Zhang continued. Next, yes. Having said that, Zhang looked at Guy, who was startled. At this moment, his figure suddenly disappeared. Shave. Guy recognized it, and in the next second, Zhang figure appeared in front of him, and at the same time, a finger, like kunai, stayed between his eyebrows. The sharp feeling stimulated his pupils to shrink, and the threat of death enlarged at this moment. Gather the strength of the whole body on the index finger, and at the moment of stab, it can penetrate the human body in an instant. The words fell, his figure disappeared again, came to Guy's back, stepped on the void, looked down, and stabbed the top of his head. Cooperating, shaving, moonwalk, attacking at an incredible angle, even bones can easily pierce. Then, he stood in front of Guy again. A doubt appeared on Guy's face, and raised his finger. I can't do this trick, master. How could one finger achieve a penetrating force like kunai? Don't rush to say that you can't do it, because, I will tell you the last trick of 6 forms soon. Iron body, Zhang said, and suddenly gave a low drink. The muscles of his whole body tensed in an instant, becoming as hard as iron. Guy, throw kunai at me. What? Guy was stunned. Iron body is a defensive technique in the 6 forms. As the name suggests, it makes the body as hard as iron, and no sword can damage it, it can resist most attacks. Zhang said. Advertisement, don't hesitate, worry about me, throw kunai at me. Guy gritted his teeth and finally no longer hesitated. With a flick of his hand, the pitch-black kuwu suddenly shot out. Ding dong. The sound of Jin Tai soon came out, and the tip of the kunai touched Zhang body, but was bounced off and landed on the ground. In this scene, Guy and Kabuto were dumbfounded. The flesh and blood of human beings really resisted kuwu. Guy said in shock. He had never seen Zhang use this trick, but his performance really shocked him. As long as you learn this trick, doesn't it mean that you don't have to dodge the future attacks of long dao, kunai, chinban, and darts? By hardening parts of your body, you can make your attacks more powerful. For example, to harden your fingers, that is finger pistol, which has a strong penetration force. Zhang said with a smile. The 6 styles are all powerful tricks, but even if you are really all masters in the end, you can't be arrogant. Every battle should be taken seriously. Because of failure, there will be death. Guy took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, master. He is not stupid, and he can naturally see that these 6 moves can be combined and used together. At that time, it will have more powerful attack power. In addition, our Namikaze clan, in addition to the 6 moves, has other powerful moves. Like, Rasengan. Saying that, Zhang stretched out his right hand, and a blue energy ball appeared. This is, the teacher's Muji ninjutsu. A shocked voice came from the side. Guy turned his head, only to find that Kakashi had been standing by for some time. There are many other interesting ninjutsu. What you have to do is to cultivate well and not slack off. Zhang said with a smile. He looked at Kakashi and said again. You can learn too, Kakashi. Guy also called out at this time, Kakashi, come and learn the 6 forms with me. This kind of physical technique is too powerful. If I use 8 inner gates and practice 6 forms, you will definitely not be my opponent, ha 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 ha. Kakashi heard the words, his face changed slightly, and his eyes flashed. If this guy really learned it, he might not really be an opponent. The power of the six forms, he saw it with his own eyes. Especially the iron body, which can completely shield the attack, making itself like steel. But the premise of wanting to learn this kind of physique is strong physical quality, and he is still far from it. In other words, he was not qualified to learn the Namikaze-style body arts at all. How can it be repaired? This watermelon head actually walked in front of him. Chapter 358 The principle of six forms is actually not complicated, but it requires extremely harsh learning conditions. Only through torment and cultivation of the body almost pervert can we have a superhuman physique, and only then can we enter the threshold of learning the six forms. Even ninjas are not many who can do this. They are more about the practice and use of chakra than the physical body. If you want to learn this powerful physical technique, you will undoubtedly spend more sweat and time than ordinary people. Today's guy has reached, which is undoubtedly a thing to be happy about. At night, when Minato came back, he saw a beaming look in the whole yard. He frowned and asked curiously. Has something happy happened? Everyone is celebrating like this? Kushina smiled with a big belly. Guy learned his teacher's unique physical skills, everyone is celebrating him. Yes, it's the sixth form. Kabuto also smiled and nodded, helping to serve the dishes. Seeing Minato's puzzled look, Kushina laughed again. Minato is cooking today. That's really good to try. Besides, what about Shuilu's unique physique 6? I didn't know he still mastered such a skill. Minato asked in confusion, washing his hands beside him. Uncle Shulu's strength is very strong, teacher. Kakashi said in a deep voice. He has always felt that his talent is not bad, but compared to this uncle, it is far worse. In terms of strength, I am afraid it is even worse. What he taught Guy was the Namikaze-style taijutsu, 6 forms. Every move is very powerful, I am afraid it is not inferior to the legendary 8 inner gates. Hearing such words, Minato was really surprised just now. I really didn't know that the master of waterflow is doing this kind of physique. I heard that the teacher created it himself. In addition, the teacher also created Muji ninjutsu. It is a strange method that can use more powerful ninjutsu without forming a seal. Teacher, call these unique moves Namikaze style. Kabuto said with a smile. It's amazing. It seems that Shui Lu has done a lot of things during my absence. Minato exclaimed. He knew the talent of his younger brother. After nearly 20 years of sublime cultivation, the moment he learned ninjutsu, his terrifying learning ability made people feel that he was a monster, not like a human at all. If you study ninjutsu, master ninjutsu, and the essence of the principles of chakra, creating new ninjutsu is not difficult at all. Just as he was talking, Zhang Lu came out of the kitchen. Advertisement, ha ha ha, Shui Lu, I heard them say that you created ninjutsu yourself, and your strength has greatly increased. Minato smiled. Yes, my strength is probably not inferior to yours, Minato big brother. Zhang Lu nodded, not at all modest. Oh, so, brother, you already have the power of cage level? That's really something to be happy about. Minato laughed, feeling a little excited. If his own younger brother has cage-level strength, then he really has the qualification to build a wealthy family, and he will be his powerful helper. After all, in this ninja world, everything depends on strength. Moreover, it is definitely a good thing for Konoha. Cage level. I already am, however, when did the Big Brother's Flying Thunder God technique teach me? By the way, the Rasengan you created, I have thought about and researched it myself, and divided him into the category of Namikaze-style ninjutsu. Zhang Lu put down the meal, said with a smile, and then slowly sat across from Minato. Flying Thunder God. After eating, let's have a discussion. If you really have cage-level strength, I will teach you. Minato said with a smile, his eyes narrowed. Flying Thunder God technique involves time and space, which is not so easy to understand at all, but if his younger brother really has cage-level strength in such a short period of time. So with its terrifying talent, I am afraid it is really possible to learn. Rasengan, has it been mastered by you? Then, he said with admiration again. It seems that not only learning, but also the creative ability of the younger brother is very powerful. A meal was quickly eaten, and the afterglow of dusk fell on the yard. Guy, Kabuto, and Kakashi stood aside, looking at the two of them curiously. There is no doubt that this will be a wonderful exchange. I saw the two people in the yard. They were somewhat similar in their attire, their body shape and appearance were also somewhat similar, and they both had golden hair. The green vest, blue tights, and even the attire are almost the same. The difference is that behind Minato, the Hokage gown for 4th generation. Brother, you said that you have cage-level strength, then I will not release water again. It will be related to whether you can ascend from Chunin to Jonin next. Namikaze Minato said with a smile, and pulled out a special kunai. I also really want to experience the strength of 4th Hokage. Zhang Lu said with a smile, tilting his head and jumping on the ground. Yes, Minato smiled, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Advertisement, then, let's get started. As soon as the voice fell, his figure disappeared in an instant. Yes, it disappeared instantly, and the place where it was originally completely lost its shape. Disappeared. So fast, Guy's eyes widened. His shaving was ready to be used, but he recognized that 4th Hokage's teleportation was completely different from the principle of 6 forms. Even faster, at the same time, a figure appeared in front of Zhang Lu, and the Rasengan in his right palm was already aimed at him. Did forward from the front, do you want to solve me in an instant? Big brother, you underestimate me, Zhang Lu grinned. His mouth opened, and he took a sharp breath, call. Large swaths of Mars converged and condensed into red flaming meteors in front of him. Immediately following, Zhang Lu opened his mouth and spit out. Fire style, great fireball technique. A huge fireball swelled and charged towards where Minato was. This is, Minato's figure disappeared the moment the fireball appeared, his eyes widened and he was shocked. Kakashi on one side has released the other eye, and the three-hooked jade inside are spinning, and his face is also shocked. Muji ninjutsu. I always thought that the Muji ninjutsu that Uncle Shui Lu was referring to was Rasengan, but it turned out to be a ninjutsu that does not require a seal to perform ninjutsu. But how is this possible? At the same time, Namikaze Minato appeared on the roof, his eyes widened, and these words came out of his heart. I underestimated your talent, water, you are even stronger than me. Minato took a deep breath and said with a twinkle in his eyes. With just this one hand, the ability to release ninjutsu without the need for a seal would surpass too many people in the ninja world. In the next second, his figure flashed and disappeared again. Behind Zhang Lu, at some point, a special kunai was inserted. And Namikaze Minato's figure appeared almost instantly. Chapter 359. You are really strong. Kakashi Sharingan turned and saw the special kunai that had been stuck on the ground at some point, and his heart immediately moved. Flying Thunder God technique. At this moment, the three teenagers present held their breaths and widened their eyes. Fourth Hokage's reputation depends on the legendary Flying Thunder God technique. At the moment of launching, he could not see his figure at all, only the fluttering blonde hair could be seen. For this reason, it is called the golden glitter of Konoha. At this moment, a golden light flashed in the eyes of everyone. The golden light pulled out a twisted arc, and at an incredible speed, it reached behind Zhang Lu and stuck to it. Namikaze Minato Hokage robes fluttered, and Rasengan pressed down without hesitation. He is gentle on weekdays, and treats everyone with a kind expression, but when he fights, he is the most fierce and ruthless killing machine. Boom! Zhang Lu, who was present, turned into a cloud of white mist. Everyone was stunned, and Minato stood there, his eyes narrowed. It's Shadow Clone, Kakashi said solemnly. An incredible expression appeared in his eyes. In Sharingan's eyes, it was also the last moment that Zhang Lu became Shadow Clone. So, when did you escape? In the next second, a smiling voice sounded. Multiple Shadow Clone technique. Bang 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 bang. One after another, white mist sounded, filling the entire courtyard in an instant. On the roof, trees, ground, pond water, and walls, there were smiling Zhang Lu everywhere. Standing there, Namikaze Minato was surrounded in an instant. If you want to use this technique, you need a lot of chakra, brother. Namikaze Minato said solemnly with serious eyes. Big brother, as long as the master has some keys, breaking the limits of human beings is a very easy thing. Dozens of Zhang Lu said in unison, with great momentum. Next, there will be dozens of me, attacking you with 6 moves. Be careful. With a smile on his face, Minato took out his kunai. Come on, let's see how good you are. The next second, dozens of Zhang Lu stepped on the ground with both feet, and ripples appeared, all of which disappeared. Shave. Immediately afterwards, a series of golden figures lined up and rushed towards Minato. Tempest kick. Finger pistol. A massive attack, roaring at this moment, descended on Minato's front. The latter reached out and threw a kunai, and his figure disappeared instantly, avoiding this wave of attacks. Immediately afterwards, several kunwu flew out and landed in every corner and direction of the courtyard. Advertisement then, Namikaze Minato disappeared into a golden light. At some point in time, his figure had appeared in front of a clone, and kunai waved and poked towards his chest. Iron body. The clone shouted loudly and stood there without evading. There was surprise in Minato's eyes, but he didn't hesitate, and kunai stabbed him in the chest. This blow made Minato's eyes widen. Then in the next second, a thigh above his head was slashed like a knife. Minato's figure flashed and disappeared into golden light. Call, it's incredible. Is it an attack method that you created by yourself based on your own physical skills? Taking a deep breath, Minato looked at the shadow clone in front of him. These avatars are all masters of the body art of water flow, but just these physical skills are already extremely difficult. Stretching out his hand, he ran towards the shadow clone running ahead, threw a shuriken, and quickly formed a seal. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. A shuriken turned into countless shuriken in an instant, and then turned into more, densely rushing towards the front. Puff puff. This time, Zhang Lu Shadow Clone, who was caught off guard, was immediately beaten into smoke. The originally crowded courtyard became empty. The water flow breathed a sigh of relief, and then disappeared again. When he reappeared, he was on the roof, standing in front of Zhang Lu who was holding a kunai. Is this the Flying Thunder God technique? Zhang Lu said with a smile. Yes, I left a stamp on you, Minato said with a smile. I feel it now. Zhang Lu nodded. Minato glanced at each other in surprise, how hidden the Flying Thunder God was, but this younger brother was able to detect it. It seems that this trick can't help you. Zhang Lu disarmed the remaining shadow clone. You have exceeded my expectations, Minato sighed with emotion. Multiple shadow clone, powerful taijutsu, and Muji ninjutsu will all give an extremely fatal blow to the enemy in battle. What is even more incredible is that the opponent has a wealth of experience in controlling the timing of the move and the control of the battle situation. From these simple points, conclusions can be drawn. Powerful chakra, master with a certain strength and quantity of ninjutsu, penultimate's taijutsu. Then try this. Advertisement in the next second, Zhang Lu separated out 4 shadow clones and quickly stood around Minato. Water style, Water Dragon Bomb. Wind style, Great Breakthrough. Fire style, Great Fireball. Earth style, Earth Dragon Ball. Lightning style, Chidori style. In addition to himself, there are 5 directions in total, all of which converge in an instant with different 5 elements of ninjutsu, aiming at Minato in the middle. This is... Minato's eyes widened in shock. Controlling the 5 elements of ninjutsu, when did the younger brother become so powerful? Moreover, the ninjutsu after the fusion of the 5 elements is clearly the unique skill of 3rd Hokage. At this moment, his younger brother even used it. 5 rays of light flashed and rushed towards him. 5 escapes, Dalian play technique. Immediately afterwards, he heard Zhonglu's voice. Sure enough, it was 3rd Hokage's ninjutsu. Although there may seem to be differences, there are similarities. With a flash, he instantly disappeared in place, dodging this move. The 5 elements of ninjutsu collided, sending out a big collision and exploding in the air. At the same time, Zhonglu's body also disappeared, and the 4 avatars turned into a cloud of white mist. Its left hand Rasengan emerged, and its right hand made a neighing sound, as if thousands of birds were chirping. It was 1,000 birds. It's Chidori. No, it's Reikari, Kakashi yelled, recognizing the trick. I saw that figure speeding forward, then leaping high, and in an instant, it was in front of Minato, and his left hand slammed out. So fast, Minato didn't expect that just after he appeared, he was already caught by the other party. On the side of his body, Rasengan rubbed his face and flew past, pressing against the wall next to him, making a bang. But Zhonglu's attack obviously hasn't stopped. His body turned around, his left Reikari neighed, and appeared in front of him again. Minato's eyes flashed, his blonde hair moved slightly, disappeared, and appeared behind Zhonglu. Reikari, also empty. Rasengan. There was a faint voice behind him, the breeze blew across his forehead. Zhonglu turned around, his right hand suddenly raised, and grabbed the pressed right wrist. Buzz. The light blue energy ball stopped within an inch of the tip of his nose, and Minato's right hand couldn't move an inch. That huge force hooped him there. After a slight start, Minato smiled. You are really strong, Water. Chapter 360 The Chaos of 9 Tails. The battle was not won or lost, but it shook the hearts of the 3 of Kakashi, and they were in awe of the 2 who briefly fought. Whether it's Namikaze Minato, who turns into a golden flash and can't even capture the trajectory of his movements, or shows the fusion of various ninjutsu, the amazing amount of chakra, and the powerful water flow of taijutsu, they are all top powerhouses. Only relying on a taijutsu teacher, he was able to resist the 4th Hokage-sama of time-space ninjutsu. It's amazing. Kabuto clenched his fists, excited. Minato scattered the Rasengan in his hand. Zhonglu also let go of the right hand that was holding each other's wrist, and the 2 smiled at each other. I can teach you the Flying Thunder God technique, water flow. But I hope you don't do evil things in the future and don't feel sorry for Konoha. With your talent, you will definitely become stronger and stronger. I can also see that you are an ambitious person, but I don't want you to use this ambition for evil things. This sentence made Zhonglu stunned for a moment, and then smiled. Okay, I promise you. Flying Thunder God technique, in fact, he has mastered, and even the increase has evolved into a new skill, teleportation, and teleportation. Compared with the Flying Thunder God that still needs to be marked, it is faster and more convenient to use, and people can't see the flaws. Hey, how has the house been destroyed by you? Give it all down to the old lady. At this time, Kushina roared with a big belly, and the tic-tac-toe on her forehead meant she couldn't bear it anymore. The 2 brothers were stunned for a moment, then turned to see that the yard was full of devastation. There were potholes everywhere, and the roof was lifted. With an embarrassed smile, the 2 called Kakashi, Guy, and Kabuto and started to mend it. Suddenly there is some expectation. Shui Lu, how will you develop the Namikaze clan into? With the 3 Kakashi behind him, Minato suddenly exclaimed with a smile. I will make him not inferior to Uchiha of the Senju clan. Zhonglu laughed. At that, Minato was taken aback for a moment, and then he smiled wryly. It's not easy. If you want to become such a giant, you need to be as strong as Hashirama Senpai and Uchiha Madara. Zhonglu said casually with a smile on his face. That's not difficult, give me time, I will surpass them and become the strongest. Namikaze Minato was stunned, then laughed. Haha, I believe in you, Waterflow. He really is a warm big boy. Although he thought it was almost impossible, he still gave his brother the greatest encouragement. Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara, these 2 legendary ninjas, have absolute tyrannical power in their bodies. They are also known as the gods of ninjas. How powerful are they? From suppressing the entire ninja world and creating a pattern of 5 ninja villages side by side, one can see Madara. Advertisement. It is too difficult for the younger brother to accomplish such great feats to such an extent. They all have a strong bloodline limit. Shui Lu, to achieve that level with the aptitude of our civilians, you need to work harder. After a while, Minato still sighed. Excellent talent may become stronger, but the bloodline limit can determine a person's upper limit. No matter how powerful ordinary civilians are, their ordinary bodies have already limited them, and it seems that no matter how hard they try, they cannot go any further. It's just the bloodline limit, if not, create them. Zhonglu smiled lightly. As he said that, he suddenly stretched out his hand and pressed it on the roof that was being repaired in front of Minato. Next, there was a scene that shocked Minato. I saw Zhonglu's palm stretched out a square wooden post, which was connected to the original broken beam. This is... Minato's eyes widened, speechless in shock. Wood style. Zhang snorted softly. The two had their backs facing Kakashi behind them, so this scene was not seen by the three of them. Senju Hashirama is able to use the nature of chakra to fuse to create a hemorrhagic boundary. Why can't I? Zhang smiled lightly, but these simple words made Namikaze Minato fall into a trance in shock. Creating a bloodline boundary sounds as simple as it sounds, but it is extremely difficult to do. Otherwise, there are so many ninjas in the entire ninja world, blood ninjas, and how many families are there? However, his brother did it, became the same wood-style ninja as a generation Hokage, Senju Hashirama, the legendary god of ninjas. What does this mean? How could he not know? The significance of wood style in Konoha can be said to be profound and highly iconic. Shui Lu, maybe I should tell teacher Jiraiya about this. With your talent, if you learn Sage Mode again, you will be even stronger. Become as strong as Senior Hashirama, or even surpass him. Perhaps, it's really possible, Minato whispered excitedly. Advertisement. He is very aware of the importance of this matter, so he lowered his voice and did not want to spread it. Wood style has been mastered by the Senju family. This kind of thing will definitely cause the whole village to shake, and even make some people coveted. Thus, the water flow will be in crisis. Sage Mode? Zhang smiled slightly. I heard that among the 3 immortal lands, there is a way to absorb natural energy and become an immortal. But that's not the right path for humans, Minato. To learn Sage Mode, I don't need the teachings of Fairyland. I will create my own path to the strongest, a road to immortality belonging to human beings. These words made Minato's eyes widen. The confidence of the other party made him feel inexplicably that it could be done. It is good. I look forward to your future achievements. Minato said excitedly. The house was quickly restored to its original state by a few people. After jumping off the roof, Minato suddenly remembered something. By the way, there may be some unrest in the village recently. You have to protect yourself too, especially. Speaking of which, Minato's expression turned serious. Kushina is about to give birth. I am afraid that the target of these people is the 9 tails inside her. Zhang eyes narrowed, knowing that the time had come. I see. I will protect Kushina. Minato smiled when he heard the words. Don't be so nervous. I mean, during this time, you can help me guard the village. At home, it's up to me to guard. As Kushina's husband, I should stay by her side during critical times. It would be too embarrassing for me to ask you, the younger brother, to protect Kushina for me. Zhang also smiled. Okay. He knew exactly what was going to happen next, and he knew exactly how Minato would end. But with this ending, he decided to make some changes to make his next plan go more smoothly. Looking up at the half-moon hanging in the sky, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The 9 Tails Rebellion?